Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the third day session. Hello. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the third day session. Now, we were listening about ASU drugs. Today is the slight change. We will focus on the homeopathic drugs. So, I would like to welcome and introduce our sir, Dr. Varman sir. Dr. Varman is the head scientific and medical affairs at Shabe India, the Indian arm of Dr. Wilma Shabe Group of Companies, Japan. He looks after the Shabe India's new product development, homeopathy regulatory affairs, scientific and medical marketing, etc. His notable research activities are in the area of homeopathic products, phytomedicines, quality control, cosmeceuticals, etc. He had presented papers in over 20 national and international forums, including one in Germany, UAE, Brazil. He has co-authored 3 books and had written about 300 articles and papers, including in peer-reviewed journals. Sir is the editor of 2 medical news bulletins and the editorial board member of 3 journals. Sir has also contributed to various professional and social bodies like LNHI, active members of pharmacy working with International Homeopathic Medical Society, NOIDA Homeopathic Medical Association, Vice President, Indian Homeopathic Drug Manufacturing Forum, and convener. Besides this, he has been an active homeopathic practitioner for the last 22 years, handling different types of patients and acute to chronic illness. I would like to welcome, sir, I would like to request Dr. P.S. S.C. Verma, sir. Welcome, sir. Representing from a token of gratitude.
आगे से थोड़ा आगे आ जाओ कोई नहीं
I would like to request sir to deliver his lecture on ensuring quality in homeopathic medicine, current approaches and future strategies.
DCIMNH. डाउनलोड नहीं करना है मुझे स्ट्रीम करना है। फाइल बड़ी खाली करिए लाइक इसमें ऐसा नहीं होता नहीं मैं लाइव खत्म कर देती हूँ। मैं वहाँ से
Just need to give instruction.
Good morning, sir. Myself Sushil Sharma. I am actually a free state recreation university, Kolkata, Haryana. Good morning, sir. Dr. Ishwar Kauri, Kalburgi Region Inspector, Karnataka State.
Namaste, sir. I am Dr. Vedavati from Karnataka. I am a multi-user driving instructor for Mysore division.
Good morning, sir. I am Dr. Hemanta and Komalipur.
We met.
I think you may know me.
Yeah.
Where already?
Yeah, we met.
Thank you.
Right.
Morning, sir. My name is Neha, working in studies, Indian Laws Laboratory, Goa.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Krishna Gauri, working as chemist at FDA Goa.
Good morning, sir. I am Dr. Kavita, Research Officer, Siddha Central Research Institute, under CCR.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Dinesh Sharma, Senior Professor, State University Laboratory, Sikkim.
Namaskar, sir. My name is Ashu Rathi, Technical Officer, National Tobacco Testing Laboratory, Noida. Good morning, sir. I am Dr. Monica Chandri, Research Officer, Siddha, working in Siddha Original Black Squad and India under CCI.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Chairman Kumar Sahu, Scientific Officer from DTH.
From
Chhattisgarh.
Satish.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Harikrishna Krishna, Pharmacist, Drug Testing Laboratory, Chhattisgarh. Good morning, sir. Myself, Dr. M.K. Dixit, District IS Specialist, Jamshedpur from Bihar. Good morning to all. Myself, Dr. Ashok Paswan, District IS Specialist,
Where, sir?
Deoghar, Jharkhand.
Jharkhand.
Good morning, sir. I am Dr. Srivani, Research Officer, Siddha, from Siddha Central Research Institute, CCI.
Check.
Myself, Dr. Shilpa Mohan, Central Officer, Chemistry from CCI.
Okay. I know this.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Subhash Sharma, Research Scientific Officer, Chemistry.
Everyone knows it. Use this mic. Once again, very good morning to all. Nice to see all of you, all the drug inspectors, with whom many times we have to handle, and many times the challenge what we are facing as an industry is making them understand about homeopathy. I mean, sometimes what happens without having much information or idea about homeopathy, they apply the same kind of methodology which is for Ayurveda or Siddha or Allopathy to homeopathy as well. So this is an opportunity given to me by the PCIMH to have interaction with you, and I'm thankful to the director PCIMH and all the officers at the PCIMH for this opportunity. With this, I hope that I don't know what is your expectation, and I hope that I would try to fulfill your expectations, and whatever I have information as a supervisor, maybe as a manager of quality. I'm not a core technical person. I'm actually managing the quality aspects at Shopee. So with that, I'll start the presentation. We made the title ensuring quality in homeopathic medicine. What are the current approaches? What we have been following now, and what are the future possibilities which would come eventually over a period of time, maybe after 5 years, 50 years, whatever. I don't know. Right. So next slide, ma'am. Do you have slide changer? Slide changer. No. I think some of you from non-Hindi speaking areas from Tamil Nadu, even though I'm also from Tamil Nadu, but I have been here for the last 17, 18 years. So I can have mixed language, but considering them, we will speak in English. Would that be fine? Yes. Right. Okay. Okay. So major categories of testing of homeopathic medicines are, if we categorize, it is raw material. We all know that it is, I think, more or less it is same for other system of medicines as well. Raw materials, where drug source and vehicles, and then intermediary product. Basically, it falls under IPQC. Then finished product, packing material, and there are certain things which are required in case of total quality management, where we check the microbial content or general aspects, overall total quality management. So this is what it is. And if we see raw materials, we can categorize them based upon the sources of homeopathic medicine from which we have been manufacturing the medicines. Major portion of homeopathic medicines are from herbal vegetable kingdom. We call as vegetable kingdom or herbs. And roughly, I can say that around 60%, 60 to 70% drugs are from vegetable herbs. Even if you see HPI, Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of India, I think almost the same ratio you would find, around 60 to 70% would be herbs. Is there any clear-cut percentage, ma'am? The HPI, how many drugs are herbal? Any calculation has been done? Total drugs में कितना herbs कितना होगा और oh. Sorry, 700, roughly 700. Right, okay, it is 940, that's roughly. So in that 700 means roughly 60 to 70%. Right, and chemical and minerals, including tautopathy. Tautopathy is a source, one particular source of homeopathic medicines where we prepare the medicines from the other system of medicine, especially allopathy. For example, paracetamol. If a person is suffering from the side effects of paracetamol, then we just take paracetamol, we do triturate, we prepare the medicine potencies, and we give it to the patients. So that is tautopathy. So all these are falling under chemical or mineral category. Do they have any idea about preparation of homeopathic medicines? Any before this? Acha, okay. So I think before this, I'll give some brief introduction about the preparation of homeopathic medicine. Unlike Ayurveda, Ayurveda method, you take just herbs and you just prepare whatever you want. Churan, Basam, Siddha also almost same thing. Churan or Legium, whatever. But in homeopathy, what we do, we take that drug substance, true drug substance, and we prepare serial dilutions. Serial dilution. I think some of you must have come across some homeopathic medicine, maybe Arnica, Nux vomica. Sorry, Strychnos Nux vomica, right? Nux vomica. So, have you used any of you have used homeopathic medicine? Can you please? Right. Okay.
During the chikungunya period.
Yes. Yes. Which medicine you have used, ma'am?
Let them call.
Right. Okay. So if you take a homeopathic medicine, there would be some number behind the medicine. 30, 200. Have you? Can you remember that? So what does that mean? Anybody has any idea? What is 30? What is 200? Yes, potency. Yeah. What does that 30? Right. You are from homeopathic background.
I know that.
Sorry.
I know the preparation.
Right. Right.
Because we are establishing this.
Right. Right. So 30 means it is 30 times diluted. So I think you must be thinking that you are taking the crude substance. For example, there is a medicine called ferrometal, which is prepared from iron, right? So ferrometallicum 30 means 30 times diluted. So you must be thinking that it is 30 times diluted. Matlab 30, you are taking one part, then adding 30 parts of vehicle or some solution, then you are diluting it. But not in that way. 30 times it is diluted, each time 100 times. For example, if I take ferrometallicum, just roughly I'm not giving you exact method of preparation. Ferrometallicum, crude substance, I first dilute it to 100 times, right? 100 times. Actually, ferrometallicum is insoluble material, so we use a method called trituration, right? We triturate it 100 times. Just I'm theoretically speaking. Practically, it is something different that I don't want you to get confused. We dilute it 100 times. That is called as first potency, 1 CH. Then from 1 CH, we again dilute it to 100 times. That is 2 CH. Then from 2 CH, we prepare 3 CH by diluting 100 times. Then again 4 CH, 5 CH, each time 100 times it is diluted. So when 30 potency is prepared, it is 30 times, each time 100 times diluted. Right? So it is beyond your imagination, right? That is the criticism of homeopathy as on date, that it is diluted beyond certain level. So it doesn't have any effect. It has placebo effect, all those stuff. I think you must have come across some such kind of criticisms about homeopathy. That I'll discuss in the later part of this presentation. So now, basically, if we see the raw materials, herbs, chemicals, animal, within animal, whole animal is used. There is a category called sarcode, which is actually medicines prepared from healthy substances, especially glands. Thyroidinum, there is a medicine called thyroidinum, which is prepared from thyroid gland. Then pituitarinum, which is prepared from pituitary gland. Then nosodes are the medicines prepared from diseased substances. For example, tuberculosis. You have tuberculosis. You just take the Mycobacterium tuberculosis organism, then you prepare the medicine, that is tuberculin. And there is a medicine called bacillinum. There again, in the same case, tuberculosis, you take the tubercular lung or tubercular pus and you prepare the medicine, that is called bacillinum. So in that way, those medicines which are prepared from the disease parts are called as nosodes. Then imponderably, yes. Yeah, and it actually roughly I have put it under no source because there are cases we are taking the discharges, we are taking the infected lung, infected part. So that's why I loosely put it under no source. No, it is not exactly person. As per pharmacopoeia, it has to be from a bovine source. Bovine. Basically, it could be from bull, cow, or pig, any mammal. Not any mammal. There is a defined sources. Then imponderabilia is a medicine prepared from immaterial energy sources. You won't believe that we have medicines prepared from sunlight, moonlight, X-ray, then magnets, sorry, radium bromide, yes, radium, all those stuff, immaterial energy sources, right? So these are actually some of the challenges also we face uh, in standardization or quality assurance, quality control. We face certain challenges, but we find way out for them. Next. What the major challenge which is faced today, it is not actually unique to homeopathy, it is for all both Ayurvedic, Siddha, or the complete Ayush system. Next, please. It is the quality of herb. We all know that getting the right quality of herb, sometimes actually the medicine is supposed to be prepared from one particular species, but we get different species. Maybe if we take Ocimum Tulsi, we have different species. Many times there are chances that from instead of preparing from Ocimum canum, medicine prepared from Ocimum sanctum. So such kind of errors keep occurring. And what Dr. Hahnemann suggests, actually Dr. Hahnemann was the founder of homeopathy, who had actually invented or discovered this method of system homeopathy. What one of his statements was that a doctor should be provided with a genuine medicine. So, are we getting how he has directed? There are number of publications you can find that adulteration and substitution is a burning problem. Adulteration and faulty collection problems need to be addressed. So these are some of the international journals which have highlighted this problem, which is common. It is not a generic. It is not particular for homeopathy. It is generic for everyone. So how we handle it, we see. For example, in homeopathy, there is a drug called Hydrastis canadensis. It is actually European plant, exogenous plant. It is not available in India. Even if it is available from high altitude, generally what happens, we get uh, low quality, not low quality, I would say, a different quality, different herb, which is Thalictrum foliosum, which look almost similar to Hydrastis canadensis, and some in the TLC, some bands also would be matching with that. So that has been substituted by a herb supplement. In the same way, there are a number of herbs which have been substituted with some other herbs, and homeopathy has a unique problem in this, that the majority of the drugs are non-indigenous to India. Because homeopathy started from West, Europe, then further developed in America. So many drugs used in homeopathy are non-Indian drugs. There are Indian drugs, but majority are from outside. So in such case, we have to depend on the suppliers who import. In fact, as a multinational organization, Schwab is the only multinational organization which has plant in India. But again, we also face the same challenge what others face. But we face less challenge because we have team at Germany, all over the world. So we get good support from them. But still, we face similar kind of problems that when we have some approved vendors in Belgium, England, so they also sometimes do such kind of, instead of sending this herb, they would be sending that herb. There, the problem is transportation is the major cost. Here in India, if some supplier sends a wrong raw material, then we send it back. But there, sending it back would be costing multiple times of the actual cost of the herb. So you cannot do that also. So how we do, in such a case, wherever there is exogenous, we have a tie-up with our parent company, Schwab Germany. They approve the vendor, and they, majority of the times, they check and they say, okay, then only we get the raw material. Then once it comes, next please. This is one example that Ambi Visnaga, rejected sample and control sample. Both look almost similar, and if you just taste it, then also it will be looking similar only. And many of the TLC parameters, the TLC bands will be matching, but still both are different drugs. So uh, we have to actually finally go with the testing parameters, all the testing parameters, and finally we have to reject it. But there are in homeopathy, there are like other Ayush systems. There are many small scale manufacturers also who may not be having advanced equipment. So they may not be doing TLC in a proper way, or they may not be having a method developed for that particular plant. So these are some of the challenges faced by even small scale industries. But as a bigger organization, yes, we have overcome such problems. Next. This is a basic standard operating procedure that after getting receiving the raw material that has been verified, quarantined and verified, then sampling, then QC will be testing that, then finally it will be approved or rejected. I think this you must be knowing, majority of you. Next. And what are the parameters? If you see the parameters, next. In case of herbal and animal raw material, macroscopic examination, organoleptic examination is the first step. You all know about that. I don't need to much talk about that. And including the checking the species, part used, whether it is in good condition or not, there is no contamination, and how about the purity, how much are the raw materials present, and then after that, then microscopic examination in case of fresh plants, and HPTLC fingerprinting, UV can be done. Then yes, future we don't do DNA fingerprinting at present. Maybe future it can be further established. It is not a requirement as per Drugs and Cosmetics Act or HPI, but we can voluntarily we can go for that. We are exploring. Already we have started working. And if we look at other things, chemicals, the chemicals are the easiest way of testing and testing for the identification of purity. And in case of SAR code, yes, there are challenges because you never know whether that particular gland, for example, thyroidinum is a thyroid gland of animal. You would not know that whether it is from bovine origin or some other origin. Maybe sometimes when you do the testing, characteristic testings and all, that may match also. So you have to get the veterinary certificate for that. Veterinarian should check and certify that this is that particular species. Then apart from that, you can have microscopic, then assays for fat content, acid insoluble ash, LOD, loss on drying, chemical content. For example, in case of thyroidinum, iodine content has been checked. It should be within the prescribed. Then microbial, whether is there any microbial contamination that has to be checked. In Quadribilia is actually we cannot have quality control for that. It is completely relied on the process control. We have to control the process, how it is manufactured. For example, if I talk about salt, salt is a medicine prepared from sunlight. But once it is prepared, you will not come to know, you cannot check it, you cannot verify, you cannot confirm that whether it is prepared from the sunlight or moonlight. So we have to standardize the method, and that has to be, the process has to be controlled. So what process we follow is that has to be prepared, the location to be selected, which is closer to the equator, because equator has a more rectangular sun rays, right? So in India, which is the place which is closer, that is Kanyakumari. So we chose Kanyakumari. We do it from Kanyakumari. Then you have to choose a time period where sunlight is more. Usually we choose a period from June to July, May, June, July. Mostly June, July we prefer. Then during that time you have to choose the middle of the day, which is 11:45 to 12 p.m. 11:45 a.m. to 12 p.m. So what we have to do, you have to take a vehicle in both two major vehicles. One is lactose, saccharum lactis, and second one is either alcohol or water. We prefer saccharum lactis, right? So you take the lactose and just spread it in as a thin layer in a petri dish with something around 9 inches, roughly 9 inches. Then you place it under sunlight in a very clean area, clean environment where there is no dust, where there is no tree in the nearby area, because sometimes some leaves may fall down from the tree, which may contaminate. So in a clean area, and then you keep on stirring that lactose, exposing to the sunlight for 30 minutes from 11:45 to 12:15. So after at the end of those half an hour, 30 minutes, then you got the mother substance of salt, that sunlight drug, right? And then that would be further taken, that would be triturated, then converted into liquid at 6x and 8x potency. So that is how it has been prepared. Sometimes what happens, there would be interruption of the cloud. If there is a cloud, then you would not be getting sunlight. So again, the same period, if there is a disturbance of cloud for 10 minutes, then 10 minutes you have to extend from 12:15 to 12:25. So something like that. I mean, it is basically completely what I mean to say is it is a process controlled method. There is no quality control involved in that. That is not possible. And as of now, maybe in future we may develop some methodology. And in case of no source, you have to confirm the source, whether it is the bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, or something else. Then identification has to be done, and then contamination and other things also have to be done. And in future, yes, further as I said, for herbs, DNA fingerprinting would also be helpful. And in case of chemicals, yes, it is already there, but in homeopathy we don't follow here in India. That could be another scope for further improvement. Next. And in homeopathy, there are certain special drugs which have to be prepared in a specialized way, like I said, imponderabilia. For example, calcarea carb, some people assume that it is actually calcium carbonate. If you take calcium carbonate and prepare homeopathic medicine, that would come, that would not become calcarea carbonica. You have to take oyster shell, and the drug has to be prepared from oyster shell itself. And in case of Hepar sulf, it has to be oyster shell plus sulfur mixed. There is a specific method given in the pharmacopoeia, as well as in Dr. Hanneman's, based on Dr. Hanneman's Materia Medica Pura. So it has to be prepared in that way. Phytolacca berry, it has to be prepared from the fresh berries, but the challenge is it is not available in India. We also tried to cultivate it here in India, but it failed. I mean, plant grows, that is okay. And then again, we take the seed and we prepare the second generation. Then when it goes to the third generation, it doesn't come proper. So that means that in this climate, it is not coming properly. So we abandoned that project. So we import from North America. It is basically a North American plant. We import, and we have a special arrangement that immediately after plucking the berries, they would be putting in the menstruum, I mean water and alcohol mixture. And then that would be transported to India, and we would prepare medicine. Actually, transportation, if we get it transported as a dry berry or even with a little bit moisture, then that is okay. I mean, you can just pack it, you can send it. But getting a container with alcohol and water, I mean menstruum alcohol, it is a very challenging thing because it falls under DG, dangerous goods transportation. So that would be very challenging for us, but we have to comply so many things for that, and we will comply and we get it. And that is for obesity. You're from Karnataka, right? Okay. We faced challenges in Maharashtra for Phytolacca berry. I mean, since it is promoted on obesity, it falls under DMRI. That's a magic. So we just put a caricature of an obese person. They objected, then we have removed that. Label violation. But it says that yes, you see, I mean, it is about the perception how it is taken, and yes, since it is objective, then we have removed that. And then in case of Apis mellifica, it has to be prepared from the bees, honey bees. Actually, it is not just bee; it should be a live bee. So again, it is a challenge. We are procuring from Uttarakhand, and the transportation of live bees from Uttarakhand to Noida facility is a challenge. And it has to be live until we are preparing. There is particular percentage, I think until 60% has to be live. So we transport and we get it. And the Calcarea ova toaster has to be prepared from the shell, egg shell. Only that eggshell layer has to be prepared. And there are special preparation methods for Arum muriaticum and the Arum muriaticum natronatum that has to be followed. It is not just gold chloride or the other one. And then vehicles are also raw materials. We all know that, and yes, alcohol. Even though we are getting good quality alcohol, even though we are getting good quality alcohol from the distilleries, but we faced one major challenge once. So then that made us to improve our process. Actually, we tested the sample of alcohol at our laboratory. It was okay, and they also sent the COA. That was also okay. Then we got the tanker lorry and got it washed with the demineralized water at our plant. Then it went there, it filled, and it came. But when it came back and when we tested, again it failed. There were some impurities. Then we investigated the matter. We found that after we washed it, during the way going to the distillery, what he did, instead of going empty, he filled some other chemical or something uh, just to save money. And then he emptied there near the distillery, and then he again washed it with normal water. I don't know how their washing process. Their washing process would be. I mean, we cannot ensure that they would be washing in a proper way with the proper standard process. So then it came back. The tanker was filled with alcohol and it came back. So we got the traces of the chemical which he carried from here to there. Then since then we changed our process that okay, after washing, our QA person would be accompanying along with the driver with the tanker, and he will get it filled there itself in front of him. Then he will bring it. So that made us to change this process. Next, and then we use GC for the alcohol testing. Next.
Now they are writing ENA. That is the ENA.
Actually, that is not a official term, extra neutral alcohol. It is a commercial term. So that's why
Basically alcohol, but they are
alcohol. Yes, it is a little bit better. It has better standard than what is the basic requirement. Next. So 2-3 times we are actually checking it 3 times. We get the sample and our QC person goes there and tests it, and then after coming back again we test it. And in the same way, water, we take the raw water, and then there are a series of filtration processes with RO water, DM water, and distilled water. Next. And again, we test it periodically, not only with our internal test report, also next. Also, we get it tested by third party just to make sure that our testing method, our testing is okay or not. And in case of DM water, it is kept on circulating. That is the standard procedure as part of GMP. I think everywhere it is followed the same way now. But before, if you talk about 15-20 years back, it was a new thing. Then in case of finished products, for mother tinctures, these are the parameters. There are some of the parameters are already there in HPI. Some of the parameters may be in-house. Basically, the sources for our testing methods are primarily it is from HPI, Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of India. Then, if something is not there in HPI, then we go for German Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia or HPUS, Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of United States. Then, apart from that, if something is not there in those also, then we develop our own in-house standards. With the help of maybe IP or EP, European Pharmacopoeia, or some other sources. So these are the testing parameters. And in case of dilution, next. In case of dilution, only these things are possible, and this is a challenge for us also. That I'll come to that point later. Next. And in case of formulation, yes, pH, alcohol content, TLC. In case of tablet density, total solid, microbial analysis, all those things will be done. And in case of biochemical tablets, more or less same, what I have shown in the previous slide. Further test for lactose, determination of hash value, identification up to 3x is possible up to some extent, but in some cases only up to 1x would be possible or 2x would be possible. Then the disintegration time, friability, all those common parameters for tablets would be tested. These are some of the parameters for globules, determination of ash value in percentage, solubility test, size and sugar content, porosity, foreign matter, hardness, starch, number of globules, how many globules per gram, volume, how many, if in case of medicated globules, then how much medicated drug has been poured, solubility, then sieve analysis. We periodically check the sieve size, specific optical rotation, LOD, microbial analysis have been conducted. And eye drops, we don't manufacture eye drops here in India. We import from our parent company in Germany. But these are some of the common basic parameters. Next. These are for ointments, creams, and gels. For homogeneity, clarity, and base has been tested. And TLC in case of identification of drug if it is in the lower potency. Then color, density, pH, and microbial. These are the common tests. In case of hair oil acid value, we don't manufacture any homeopathic hair oil. We manufacture cosmetic products manufactured by third party in which we are adding homeopathic herbal ingredients. For example, we have a Arnica shampoo. It is cosmetic is just a cosmetic. That's what our view is. I mean, people say that the homeopathic cosmetic or Ayurvedic cosmetic, but majority of the cases what we see is cosmetic is shampoo is a shampoo. It cannot be homeopathic shampoo or Ayurvedic shampoo. They prepare shampoo, then they just add some extracts, herbal extracts into that, presuming that it would have some additional benefit. Yes, Ashwini hair oil is from that is manufactured under homeopathic practices. That for oil, no. For oil, it is okay. I'm talking about other cosmetics like soap, shampoo. Yes. In case of shampoo, I'm talking about shampoo, soap, and other things. We add some extracts. And Ashwini hair oil actually it is followed as per homeopathic pharmacopoeia. Yeah. As per HPI, you can prepare an oil with you just take some base oil, either gingerly oil or which groundnut oil, whatever, and you steep the herb into that for certain period, specified period, and you prepare that. That is how it has to be. And I think they are following the same. And then these are some of the testing parameters for hair oil. Next. And for lactose, these are the parameters, basically sensory evaluation like color, odor, and taste. Then identification of lactose, basic determination test. And then hash value, solubility, again, identification of if some other content is there, then heavy metal, acidity, alkalinity, alcohol soluble matter, water content, sulfated ash, specific optical rotation, UV absorbance, and microbial. And sometimes, yes, we have to follow some additional standards apart from what is given in HPI, additional standards and some IPQC methods we have to develop on our own. For example, in case of trituration, we usually check the particle size of the trituration. For example, if it is ferrum metallicum 1x, at 1x level, we by using microscope we measure the particle size of ferrum metallicum because 1x you would get 1 part of ferrum metallicum and 9 parts of lactose. So you have to identify the particle size. You have to measure the particle size, and according to the standards, it has to be less than 100 micron size. That also there is a. It is not 100%. Not all the particles. At least 80% of the particles should be less than 100. Then only you can be sure that you have done trituration properly. If it is not complying, then we extend the trituration time for more period, maybe for half an hour more, 1 hour more. In some cases, few more hours also, maybe 2-3 hours also. So that is one additional standard which helps us to ensure the trituration process validation. Next, that is what I said. Then yeah, go. No, next. And total quality management is very important to maintain. We regularly check the microbial growth in the premises and clean environment. Yes, dust particles should not be there. These days we have very good technology. AHU air handling units are there with modern equipment, so that help us to achieve this. But how many industry is following this? That is one question. How much stringently it is followed? That is a question. Majorly, here I would like to, since majority of drug inspectors are there, I would like to highlight that always whenever we want to, from the quality side, from the scientific side, we want to enhance the quality. But the management sees the cost benefit ratio. So we want to have additional standards so that our quality, our product quality would be much more higher than the other competitors. But what happens in the market? Many manufacturers just fulfill what is required in HPI, that also just in a very minimum way, just for namesake. And they also sell in the market, they give huge discounts, what we could not be able to give. So here the implementation part, it is not, please don't take it otherwise, I mean, as an argumentative or as a critical mode. Just a general scenario. I mean, as a team, the industry and the regulators, as a team, we have to work on this, and we have to ensure that the implementation has been done at the fullest way. That is what the because it demotivates the people actually who are trying to follow the quality. I mean, if somebody else doesn't follow, he also sells in the same price, and he also tries to gain the market share, then the person who is following, he actually gets demotivated. Just one message I wanted to convey. And then workers' cleanliness and health checkup has been done periodically. We even check the quality of the food at our canteen. I mean, not only the food, also the environment. And GXP, I mean, whatever possible good practices we could be able to follow, we try to adopt, including GLP is a common thing, and good warehousing practices, good packaging practices, good agricultural practices. We follow up to some extent because it is not completely in our hand, only in case of contract cultivation, and in case of our in-house cultivation, we follow that. And technology transfer, yes, when we develop a product, and it is our success lies in transferring the technology without much deviation when we are transferring to commercial scale, to the production unit. So that is a very big challenge. Many times we face, when we develop a product in small scale, the product comes out in a very beautiful way, very nice way, and very effective way when we do efficacy testing also. But when we manufacture at a large scale, many times we face a challenge in terms of stability or quality or efficacy. Efficacy challenge is very less, but stability and quality many times we face. So that is also, that's why what we do, we have three steps of pilot batch preparation. One is at the lab scale. Second one is beginning before the stability study, we prepare a batch of larger scale, not very large, but between the lab scale and the actual pilot, final pilot. Something, for example, in lab scale, we prepare 1 liter of, for example, if it's a liquid formulation, we prepare 1 to 2 liters of formulation. In the pilot batch, we prepare something around 50 liters. Then in the commercial pilot batch, we prepare 100 liters or 150 liters, something like that, so that we can avoid any kind of such problems which we face in the future. And go back. Quality process validation and self-inspection, internal audit has been done. We, being a multinational German company, we have the opportunity to showcase our German counterparts to come and audit us, so that we can be sure that okay, what we are following is correct or not. Because we are they majorly they follow European Pharmacopoeia and their own in-house standard. So they also give us inputs in many cases. And these days, I'm proud to say that in many cases, we also give them inputs. What you are following, it is not that maybe they can change it. They can follow what we have been doing. We are also doing best practices. And the laboratory which we have built recently, in fact, the Germans were also jealous about our laboratory. They said that your laboratory is most modern than our laboratory in Germany. And then process, it is basically, this has to be a process driven task, quality, ensuring the quality rather than person driven one. And the quality integration should be there in almost all aspects, all processes. Next. So these are some of the best practices. Good ERP should be there, data quality should be good, process controlled at each step, electronic record and signature is followed, validation and audit trail should be maintained. Next. And there are some of the recent developments. It is even though for other industry it is very common, not very recent, but for homeopathic industry it is recent. For example, US FDA 21 CFR compliant equipments and GCHS with 4 decimal accuracy, HPTLC densitometer with the accuracy level is much more higher than before. Next, please. Yes, here the major challenge. Next is the dilution. As I said, it is diluted beyond certain limit, and you cannot confirm whether it is 30 Nux vomica 30 ch or 200 ch, or it is Nux vomica or phytolacamide. So that is a very big challenge because homeopathic dilutions are potentized liquid medicines, dynamized. We call it as dynamization or potentization. During the process of preparation of dilution, a substance is serially diluted, I told you before, and it is agitated even beyond Avogadro's number. There is a, many of you must be knowing that there is a Avogadro's number and Avogadro's limit. When you dilute a substance beyond that particular limit, that is 1 by 10 to the power of 24. Beyond that limit, there is nothing, no starting material you could be able to trace. Even a single molecule of starting material will not be there. For example, you are taking arsenic and diluting it 1 by 10 to the power of 24. I mean, 1 in 124 times 0. 24, you would not get anything, any trace of arsenic. That is the problem we are facing with homeopathy. But historically, it is believed to have dynamic action. So how, then the question comes that how homeopathic medicines work. Yeah, here Dr. Hahnemann gave some explanation 200 years ago, which is confirmed in recent studies as well. What he said was, you take a drug material, you take a iron rod, you take a magnetic rod, and you keep on rubbing it. This magnetic force has been transferred to iron rod, right? That also becomes magnet. So in the same way, we know that electrons we have every substance has got neutron, electron, proton, and they have a specific kind of electromagnetic property. And for example, when we comb it and just put it, we can have the hair is pulling, that effect is there. So in the same way, when we do potentization, when we take a drug substance and dilute it by doing trituration or succussion, there is a rubbing process between the drug substance and the vehicle, and again that is transferred to the next potency, next potency, next potency. So some kind of electromagnetic property has been created which is unique to the starting material. That's what he suggested. So in the same way, the recent researchers also confirm that there are a couple of researchers. One is by IIT Bombay, who there are a group of researchers discovered nanoparticles in homeopathy, and there was a French Nobel laureate scientist who discovered that homeopathic medicines, after diluting it, it emanates some electromagnetic signals. So these are some of the new recent discoveries, recent in the sense that now it is 13, 14 years old. But for homeopathy, it is new only. Next. So these are, as I said, that these are the limitations beyond Avogadro's number. No techniques so far to identify the drug and its potency. There is no technique, but it doesn't mean that if there is no technique, then homeopathy is placebo, because there are number of clinical studies, number of clinical trials, and number of homeopathic doctors, number of homeopathic patients who witnessed the benefits of these high dilutions. They work actually, but we don't know how it is working, and we don't know what it is there actually inside that particular drug material dilution. So as I said, that recent developments, nanoparticle evolution and electromagnetic signals. Next. This I don't want to, it is about what Dr. Hahnemann said about dynamization. Next, please. What I have explained just now. And since 1900s, beginning of 20th century, there were many attempts to find out what is there inside the homeopathic dilutions. What is the physicochemical characteristics of homeopathic dilutions? Starting from 1906 to next, I have listed out many such findings. Next. Yes. Then after that, until 2005, 2003 was another thing. There was a thermoluminescence study of ultra high dilutions. how the dilutions emanate the thermoluminescence. That is what how it is illuminating. The thermal illumination has been tested, and they have also proposed some theory, but it is still in a very rudimentary way. Next, please. And as I said, these are the two recent developments. Next. Extreme. This is the first paper of that nanoparticle, which was published by Dr. Jayesh Bellare and team. The third one, the third author, who is actually the master of this study. And the first one, Prashant Chikramane, was his PhD scholar who had actually done this work and published. Then, following this paper, there are something around, I would say that maybe more than 100 papers published in this perspective, nanoparticle perspective. Next, please. Next. Yes, this is another study, as I said, that French viral laureate who had suggested that homeopathic medicines emanate some electromagnetic signals. What he did actually, he took bacterial DNA sequences and just he tested to see whether is there any electromagnetic signals. Then he found that some electromagnetic signals. Then he diluted it and just checked the electromagnetic signals just to see whether when he is diluting it, whether the signal strength is becoming weak or not, and up to what extent this electromagnetic signal is going on. And he diluted, tested, and diluted. Then he found that even beyond Avogadro's number, that electromagnetic signals keep on continuing. That means when he had diluted, that electromagnetic signal has been transferred from the starting material to the next level of dilution, next level, at each and every step. That is what a very important discovery. So with this, we can please go ahead. Next. Yes, then based on that, other studies like nanobubbles. Next. This is a, can you play? Just try it. Okay. So basically, based on there is a video, small video with the by Ministry of Ayush, CCRH, stating about these two studies, these electromagnetic as well as nanoparticle study. Actually, that scientist, Dr. Jayesh Bellare himself, spoke in that video. Unfortunately, that could not be able to play it. Sorry for that. And this is what their proposal was. I mean, their theory was that during the process of succussion, during the process of succussion and dilution, there are nanobubbles developed, and then next one, then there are electromagnetic signals being created. So next, please. So it is it is also just a beginning. We cannot say that these studies are complete, and by using them we can do quality control, quality testing of higher dilutions. It is not possible at this way, at this stage. But the study is going on. We are also part of that study. I mean, we have prepared, manufactured specifically dilutions starting from the raw material till the finished product, and we supply to them. And they are studying about what is the difference. Now they just found that there is a nanoparticle. Now they are trying to identify or characterize what is the nanoparticle characteristic of Nux vomica dilution and pulsatilla dilution, the differentiation. Then again, if there is some difference in Nux vomica and pulsatilla, then again they further they are trying to discover what is the difference between Nux vomica 30 and Nux vomica 200. So these are some of the studies going on. So maybe in a period of some more time, maybe it may take 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years, or 100 years, we may have something to utilize, apply in our homeopathic quality control to standardize the dilution. Next, please. That is what the conclusion is, as I said. Next, please. Thank you so much for your patient listening. I hope it is useful.
Thank you, sir. So, any queries, any doubt regarding this homeopathy, you can ask.
होम्योपैथी का आप होम्योपैथी की पूछ रहे हैं ना, हम तो होम्योपैथी के बारे में अभी बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. होम्योपैथी अगर प्लेन ग्लोब्यूल्स लेके देंगे तो दैट इज अ प्लासिबो. So generally homeopathic doctors, homeopathy में different type of practice is there. Classical practice, classical homeopathy, उसमें क्या करते हैं, केवल एक ही डोज देते हैं पेशेंट्स को, एक डोज देके देन फिर उसके बाद प्लेन ग्लोब्यूल्स देते हैं. That is what you are talking about. That yeah, that is what placebo. Yes. नहीं, मैन्युफैक्चर में नहीं होता. प्लासिबो मतलब कोई उसमें कुछ भी नहीं है, जस्ट प्लेन सब्सटेंस, प्लेन वेक. प्लासिबो, हाँ प्लासिबो जस्ट प्लेन ग्लोब्यूल्स. होम्योपैथी में जो प्लेन ग्लोब्यूल्स है, ग्लोब्यूल्स तो शुगर से, केन शुगर से, सुक्रोज से बनाते हैं. सॉरी, नो डाइल्यूशन. देन वी ऐड डाइल्यूशन. वो डाइल्यूशन उसमें ऐड करने के बाद ही वो बदल जाता है, उसका नाम चेंज. अदरवाइज इट इज जस्ट अ प्लेन डाइल्यूशन. दैट प्लेन ग्लोब्यूल्स. प्लेन ग्लोब्यूल्स को काफी बार उसको एज ए प्लासिबो भी यूज करते हैं. प्लासिबो मतलब पेशेंट को जस्ट साइकोलॉजिकल सेटिस्फेक्शन देने के लिए दवा देते हैं. For example, if it is 99% alcohol, then it is absolute alcohol. 95% it is 99 to 100%. If it is 95%, then we call it a strong alcohol. I mean, as per HPIMC. Then 90% alcohol is called dispensing alcohol. Then 60% is called as dilute. That's it. Only concentration में फर्क है और कोई फर्क नहीं है. Ethanol ही. We use only ethanol.
So from where did you purchase this?
There are distilleries. UP is a place we are located in UP. I mean, in India, everywhere distilleries are there. Wherever sugar cane factory is there, distilleries are there, because it is prepared from the molasses, which is the byproduct of sugar.
For example, fresh water used here. Fresh water. So what do you mean by fresh water?
Fresh.
Fresh water.
In slide you have used fresh water. What do you mean?
Fresh order. वाटर, फ्रेश वाटर. एक्चुअली हम जो भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में यूज करते हैं, ऐसे नहीं है हमने वाटर हमने खरीदा. काफी बार इंडस्ट्री में ऐसे भी होता है, मतलब नॉट होम्योपैथी में भी अदर इंडस्ट्री, उनके पास वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट नहीं होता है, तो क्या करते हैं 100 लीटर का एक कैन मंगवाते हैं डीमिनरलाइज्ड वाटर का. बस उसको वो हफ्ता 10 दिन चलेगा, उसको यूज करते रहते हैं. हम डेली बेसिस पे बनाते हैं, डेली बेसिस पे यूज करते हैं. वो भी पूरा रॉ वाटर से लेके, रॉ वाटर लिया, रॉ वाटर से फिर फिल्टर्ड वाटर, फिर डीएम वाटर, फिर डिस्टिल्ड वाटर.
That means they are daily fresh बनाते हैं.
डेली फ्रेश बनाते हैं.
You mean fresh water means distilled water?
जो हम घर पे डीएम वाटर एंड डिस्टिल्ड वाटर, जो हम घर पे डेली बेसिस पे हम यूज करते हैं ना, मतलब आरओ लगा हुआ है रोज. ऐसे नहीं है एक बार फिल्टर हो गया 10 दिन तक उसी को हम यूज करेंगे, ऐसे नहीं है. डेली हम उसको बना फ्रेश वाटर से डेली फिल्टर. Yes.
कुछ मेडिसिन है.
Just बिल्कुल होती है सर. ऐसे तो मुझे ऐसा कोई याद नहीं है हम ऐसे कोई अभी इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं वाटर बेस्ड. यस, कुछ फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट हम यूज करते हैं. हम एज अ श्वाबे ग्रुप हम इंपोर्ट भी करते हैं वहां से. कुछ मदर सॉल्यूशंस आता है, वो बस उसका एयर टाइट कंटेनर होना चाहिए. वो ऑलरेडी वहां पे इंश्योर करता है. जनरली हम प्रॉब्लम फेस नहीं करते हैं, लेकिन कुछ केसेस में कुछ सेडिमेंटेशन वगैरह आ जाता है. कुछ सेडिमेंटेशन और सेडिमेंटेशन या प्रेसिपिटेशन आ जाता है. नहीं, नो प्रेसिपिटेशन. ओनली स्टेबिलिटी स्टडी में पता चल जाता है वो कितना दिन तक हो रहेगा, उस हिसाब से हम एक्सपायरी डेट. यस मैम.
कुछ मेडिसिन जैसे एक लिखला वाला मेडिसिन है, वो शायद लावा किसी वोल्केनिक लावा से बनती थी स्टार्टिंग मटेरियल से.
हाँ जी.
सर वो अभी कैसे अवेलेबल होती है?
इसलिए हमने बंद कर दिया उसको. वो है और एक वाइसबेडन करके एक लेक है यूएस में.
बहुत ही पॉपुलर मेडिसिन
पॉपुलर मेडिसिन बिल्कुल हमको मिला नहीं था
तो ये
हमने
बंद
बंद
तो नहीं है
It is based on the stability study. There is a well-established SCH stability measure. Yes. So based on this one, basically there are two things. One is what law says, what technical, what scientifically is. As per law, all homeopathic medicines should have expiry of 5 years. The maximum expiry of 5 years. It is what law says is maximum. हेलो 5 साल से ज्यादा नहीं जा सकते अब कम कर सकते हाँ वो है एक्सेप्ट डाइल्यूशन एंड बैक वो डाइल्यूशन बैक पोटेंशियल में कोई एक्सपेरिमेंट it can go 10 years 20 years provided it is stored in a well stored proper storage well documented here the rationale behind it is if you just google what is the expiry of ethanol Google would say that it has indefinite shelf life. So they both are just like Google of thermal. But technically speaking, alcohol, ethanol doesn't have any expiry. It has indefinite shelf life, provided that it is stored in a proper container and in a proper storage condition. So that is the basic. And then for the formulations, हम लोग अपना stability study कराते हैं वो उसमें accelerated stability study चाहिए होती है और then long-term stability study 5 साल की होती है तो accelerated में 6 महीने से हम डिपेंड करते हैं 3 years और 2 years और in case of homeopathic preparation internally हम 5 साल so उसमें 0 और शुरू में हम एक बार पूरा टेस्ट करते हैं फिर 3 महीने के बाद फिर चेक करते हैं टेस्ट करके अगर पास हो गया तो आगे फिर जो रियल टाइम कमर्शियल बैच है वो लॉन्ग टर्म 5 साल मदर टीचर में भी करते हैं मदर टीचर एलएटीटी और पैचुरेशन टैबलेट्स और फॉर्मुलेशंस वो स्टेबिलिटी से करते हैं एक्सेप्ट डायबिटीज
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Explaining in detail how the course of raw material, how it is prepared, and when concludes quality assurance, and most importantly, challenges faced, especially testing of dilution. You have explained it nicely. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request our PSO chemistry, sir, Dr. Verma, sir, to felicitate, sir. So there is slight change in the schedule, and instead of Dr. Joseph sir, Dr. Bali sir has will give the regular lecture. Sir has prepared his lecture to do some busy occupied schedule. So we will welcome Dr. Bali sir for after 5 minutes. They will be waiting sir for 5 minutes. Then we will.
इसके बाद ठीक है
First of all, I would like Dr. Verma sir to welcome sir. Welcome all of you, sir. Just a brief introduction I would like to share. So, sir is an Ayurvedic scholar working as associate professor in the Department of Rasa Shastra and Classical Calcutta at All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. Since November 2016, sir has more than 17 years of experience in teaching. Sir is also an associate dean PG studies at All India Institute of Ayurveda Science, coordinator of pharmacovigilance program for ASU NHS, associate editor of Journal of Ayurvedic Case Report and International Journal of Ayurvedic Research, Chairman of Ayurvedic Subcommittee of PCIMH as a non-official member. Sir is also a member of Pharmacopoeia Committee of PCIMH as a non-official member. Sir is also CEO of All India Institute of Ayurveda Science and National National Council of Homeopathy, coordinator of action plan for the development of traditional medicine. Sir has bagged 2 gold medals for the best thesis award at IPG and Jamnagar, 3 national level best thesis award, IESTM Vaidyanatha Award, consecutively for 2016, 17, 18, finals in 2019, 2 Madhya Pradesh State Level Thesis Award for the year 2014 and 16, National Level Best Research Paper for 2016, CCRS Young Scientist Award for 2017, Sheikh Zayed International Award for contribution to Ayush in India 2020. Regarding publication, more than 60 papers published in different peer review journals, published 1 book, contribution of 10 chapters, more than 80 presentations at different events. Sir has represented India at the BIMS Tech meeting at Thailand in 2018, WHO CC Directors meeting in Italy 2015, 5th International Symposium on Traditional and Contemplative Practices at Brazil 2016, business seminars and bilateral meeting at Ukraine 2018, Ayurveda drug marketing and safety toxicity concern with Finland 2010. And I'm short of time, the list of achievement is so long, I have a vast and immense knowledge in this field. It would be better to listen to enhance our knowledge on pharmacovigilance scheme of ASU NHS. Sir, I welcome you, sir.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस इंट्रोडक्शन सो मुझे लगता है कि जबरदस्ती लोग मुझे इमिनेट बना देते हैं सो आई एम अ टॉडलर सो आई एम सो I'm not that eminent so if what I feel is if somebody's CV is growing but somebody's CV is strengthening you suppose so it is because of our students it's not that okay so I am great it's not that I am doing something so Anand is sitting here. So he is one of my students in Jamnagar, and people like these students, right? So they will build our CV, right? So otherwise, opportunities are there everywhere. The only thing is we need to capitalize it, we need to tap it. That's it. So I'm happy that people like so students like disciples like Professor Anand and other people. So Nikhil is here and Varma is here, so they know us very well. So I hope I'm audible, right? I'm audible. Okay, fine. So thank you so much for this introduction and just I was trying to see okay so the main audience okay so from which areas okay so people professionals they have gathered I'm happy that many of the audience they are the drug regulators they are the drug regulators, and very few are from the research councils. Yesterday I was there in Chennai, so in your campus I was there. I had a session at around. My session was ended at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and then I took a flight to reach Delhi early in the morning at 2 o'clock. It was a wonderful experience to be there in Chennai. So I was flying to Chennai for the first time, and I experienced the traffic of Chennai. So right, I thought that I'll be missing that flight yesterday evening, but somehow because I could manage to reach that. That's a different part of the story, but somehow, right, it was very good experience at Tambaram. It is no, no, not sanatorium, Arumbakam. Arumbakam. So right, so it is your campus. I feel it is right. So after looking into that, okay, so profiles, okay, so everyone is a state licensing authority. So I will skip one part, okay, because pharmacovigilance of Ayush drugs, it has two components. So when pharmacovigilance comes, usually we used to think of suspected, otherwise, okay, so side effects or adverse drug reactions and all those things. I don't know. Okay, so drug regulators. Okay, so whether they are handling the cases related to the adverse drug reactions or not. Okay, so I'm not sure. So you may not be handling those areas. You may be handling with another part of the component, the objective of this pharmacovigilance program of exclusively this Ayush drugs. Why I'm saying exclusively is, as I said, so pharmacovigilance is meant for capturing the suspected adverse drug reactions, capturing the one more objective they have to take care of, that is the surveillance of misleading advertisements, the objectionable advertisements. So that's whatever we are seeing in this scenario. Okay, so the one of the main objective of this program is the suspected adverse drug reaction. Misleading advertisement, reporting of misleading advertisement, surveillance of misleading advertisements. So this is one prime objective. I feel okay. So I'll focus a few points on that specific area. So let us see. So I never addressed the state licensing authorities. Okay, so this is first of so my kind experience. So let us see. I don't know. Okay, so what kind of doubts you have, how to handle those doubts. Okay, so I don't know, and I know. Okay, I'm as introduced. Okay, so I'm an academic professional. I don't know. Okay, so how to handle your areas, that we'll see it. Okay, so it's a learning experience again to me. So pharmacovigilance for ASU and H drugs. Okay, so this I'm going to. So just my simple outline is okay. So I'm going to, if it is needed. Okay, so just I will be passing through these areas. Okay, so how the global demand for systems of medicines is increasing. What are the concerns that we have in this scenario, and those suspected adverse drug reactions, and what pharmacovigilance. Okay, so why? Okay, so this pharmacovigilance program for traditional systems of medicines, it has came into. And again, so India is the only one country so where this parallel system of pharmacovigilance program is there. In many of the countries, in many of the member states of United Nations, so the pharmacovigilance program, so there is only one program. But okay, so India is the only one country. If at all you are scrutinizing the program of SERO, Southeast Asian Regional Office, Southeast Asian regional countries, so suppose. So you can see, okay, so there is only one program which is supervising all the healthcare systems existing in their countries, in their respective scenarios. But India is the only one country where we have, in Ghaziabad only we have IPC, Indian Pharmaceutical Commission for conventional medicines, and so even in Delhi only, so we have our another system. So both are running parallel. Okay, so this is also one unique feature in so India's experience, if at all we are looking, you suppose. Okay, so I can focus upon the functionality, what we are doing, how it was conceptualized, and the second objective also few glimpses I will. So I will not okay, so explain much about this. Next, okay, I'm comfortable to stand. So Modi ji's right, this pledge, if at all you could able to see it, right? So he is okay. So right, so giving otherwise okay. So welcoming the Indian population to have that pledge for okay. So clean, poverty-free, corruption-free, terrorism-free, communalism-free, and okay. So casteism-free India. So he's focusing upon that. But I feel okay. So he missed one point. So he never spoke upon health, right? So okay, healthy India is also one of the important point. Okay, so which is supposed to be. So if health is not there, so we cannot anticipate all those things. So the individual is supposed to be healthy first. Okay, so then only okay. So we need to, of course. Okay, so healthy India के लिए so what we should do? Healthy India के लिए right. So if at all we are healthy, then only we can anticipate all those things. So if at all if at all one want that, okay, so right, tomorrow's best generation, you suppose, right? So then each and every individual is supposed to be healthy enough, and so that healthy, right? So if you see that, okay, so United Nations goals, Sustainable Development Goals are okay, so those, right, around 17 goals are there. So in these goals also, if at all you are looking and if at all you are going in deep, you suppose, so one by one goal. They mentioned multiple times that traditional systems of medicines can play a crucial role in achieving those United Nations goals. 17, you leave about 17. Okay, so if you were able to see that third goal, right? So health. Okay, so right, so if at all you are able to see that goal, you suppose multiple times they have mentioned about what impact can traditional systems of medicines can bring into, right? What kind of role, okay, so they can play into. So there are many other issues. UN goals is one area, and then so why UN nation goals? Okay, so they have focused upon traditional systems of medicines. There are many instances. Lancet that editorial, if at all we are able to see, you suppose. So then newer and newer diseases, otherwise pathologies are okay. So they are coming into the world is okay. So they are suffering. The world is okay. So experiencing many pathologies for which the existing medical systems. Okay, so I'm not saying that modern system, allopathy system, whatever it may be, the system which is existing in that scenario. So it is not able to provide satisfactory answers. You can see that, right? So how these non-communicable diseases are creeping into our lives. Not only non-communicable diseases. So just take that example of COVID-19, infectious diseases, right? So what exactly is happening with infectious diseases? So what kind of limitations the existing medical systems they have? Right, antimicrobial resistance, right? So there are many other issues. There are many other limitations. So possibly is looking into okay, so these limitations, okay, right? So the disease-adjusted life years, right? So how it is increasing from 1990 to 2020, right? So that 30 years of cross-sectional survey, okay, so that has been done and published in WHO document. Okay, so they say that okay, so disease-adjusted life years because of non-communicable disease is increasing, right? So it indicates that okay, so lifestyle modifications and okay, so all these pathologies, okay, so they are making a huge impact on human life. For which okay, so we need to have, otherwise we need to tap that potential which is existing in this scenario. So that's what okay, so what WHO say that okay, the world is running out of antibiotics. Fine. So there are many other such kind of documents which speak about the impact, a possible impact of traditional systems of medicines in maintaining the global healthcare. You can see this 2018 document of World Health Organization. So this was a survey which was conducted in 2014. In 2014, almost a decade back. Okay, so they had a survey. Okay, so in that survey they said that okay, so what is the impact of okay, what kind of traditional practices are prevailing in the scenario? How many member countries accepted the traditional systems of medicines? How many member countries have policies on traditional systems of medicines? Okay, so there is a big survey. Okay, so one snapshot this is. You can see that, okay, so in that document which was published in 2018, okay, so they say that the green indicates that yes, okay, so these countries, they have certain policies. You can see that entire that cross section, if you are looking, so majority of the globe is green. Majority of the globe is green. It indicates that yes, okay, so these countries, they have certain policies. What kind of policies they have? Whether it's legalized, the system is legalized or not, whether one can go and practice oil systems there in those countries or not, that's a different. Okay, so it's not folklore or whether it is right in any exclusive, so departments are there or not, exclusive education system is there or not, formal, right, so degree and the governing systems are there or not. Okay, so that's a different thing. But the thing is, it says that yes, we have some policy. right? So based upon that, okay, so they have did this document, and then there are many. So this document again says that out of 194, 170 member countries, they say that okay, so they have said that yes, okay, so we have some systems, okay, so which are existing in our scenario or in our parlance, and 50% of these, okay, 194 member countries, okay, so they said that they have policies to govern, okay, so these traditional systems of medicines. And of course, okay, so that is 2018, right? But yesterday what happened, okay, so this is 2023 snapshot. So 2023, okay, so in that WHO global GCTM workshop, okay, so which was happened on 17th and 18th of August, a couple of days back. Okay, so this meeting, okay, so it was organized in Gandhinagar, that Mahatma Mandir's platform. So where, okay, so this presentation, it was made by Dr. Kim Song Chol. So he is chief of traditional system of medicine, so working with WHO, World Health Organization at Geneva. He was presenting this document. Of course, okay, so he said that this is very preliminary. So this is going to be a part of the global decade document of WHO. This document will be published in 2024 to 2024 to 2035. So this document will be existing in the scenario. And he said that so in comparison to 2018, the number of countries that are accepting the traditional systems of medicines is increasing. Okay, so this is what, okay, so he said that okay, so more than 100 countries out of these 194, more than, okay, so 100 countries, okay, so they are accepting the traditional systems of medicines into their global healthcare, in their, okay, so countries' healthcare systems. So this is, okay, so one of the welcome note, okay, so and it says that, okay, so why, okay, so traditional systems of medicines are being increased more. And this is the UK government's policy, if at all you are looking, you suppose. So United Kingdom, right? So they have proposed a roadmap for 2030. Where in 2023 now, okay, so they have proposed this policy for 2030, and so it was approved in the Parliament of United Kingdom, right? So there are many 64 agenda items were there in that policy. In those 64 agendas, okay, so this 32nd agenda is exclusively on Ayurveda and alternative medicine. How these traditional systems of Indian examples can be implemented in the UK, right? So scenario. So this is what, okay, so they are planning, and all these things, okay, so they indicates that the global, okay, so demand, it is, okay, so increasing, and you know it very well, okay, so right. So I'm not going to say anything about this. So the traditional systems of medicines in Indian scenario, so they are popularly known as, okay, OI systems, and these recent developments. So pretty much, I need not to speak anything about these. How the demand, okay, so why the demand is increasing comparatively a world snapshot. Of course, in 2020, almost 3 years back, okay, right. So there was a exclusive session in Lok Sabha, in Rajya Sabha. So right, so in that Rajya Sabha exclusive session on Ayush drugs, you may be knowing about that. It is even available on YouTube, okay, so you can go and you can see it, almost a 6-7 hours deliberation on various aspects of traditional systems of medicine, particularly for Ayurveda, Yoga, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathy. So exclusive discussions on various aspects related to safety, related to quality, related to efficacy, related to, okay, so product qualities. So all those things, okay, so they have been categorically discussed about in that specific day. All these, okay, so they categorically, okay, so they infers that, okay, so why and how the system, okay, so is attracting the, okay, communities across the globe, not only in India but across the globe. So that is one aspect. Okay, so at one facet of the coin, right? So what we are seeing is this: the demand is increasing, right? The demand is increasing. So for that, okay, so we have n number of examples. We can see n number of documents that says it's not that, okay, so we are saying, it's not that Ayush Ministry is saying, it's not that the traditional healers are saying that demand is increasing. WHO is saying, right? So the official, okay, so right, the authorities, okay, so they are saying that yes, demand is increasing. So whatever it may be the reason, that is one facet of the coin. But at the same time, at the same time, so there is another facet of the coin, if at all you are looking, the flip side, if at all you are looking, you suppose. On the flip side, right, so there are many concerns they are raising. You may be knowing, okay, so about these concerns. Okay, so each and, okay, right, so every day, so right, we used to come across with many, okay, so such kind of, what I can say, concerns, okay, so that raises at multiple platforms. Okay, so of course, these publications, Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hepatology, whatever it may be. So we're not saying that these people are wrong. Okay, so their observations, okay, so they're putting, okay, so in that scientific language and it is publishing. So there is no harm in publishing it, right? So they say that herbal immune booster induced liver injury. So after administration of that Tinospora cardifolia, which is popularly known as Giloy, okay, so in Indian scenario. So right, so by consuming Giloy, okay, so case series. So right, so around 5 people. Okay, so they have reported it, and there are many such kind of instances. But the thing is, okay, so whether genuinely, okay, so after using that Giloy, so whether hepatotoxicity occurs, whether that manifestation is universal, right, or not. Okay, so if at all in Indian scenario, so if at all, okay, so particularly during the COVID times. During COVID times, these 2 years or 3 years, okay, so how many people they have consumed Giloy, right? It became a daily routine to many individuals to consume Giloy. It became, right? So many people, okay, so they have consumed it. So how many instances of, right? How many instances of hepatotoxicity were reported? Negligible. So these 5 case reports, okay. So besides, okay, Abha and Andal's that 5 reports, there was one more publication, so it has surfaced. Okay, so after a month of, okay, so this Abha's publication, it says that there are 34 more cases. 34 more cases, okay, so it was a cross-sectional study across the country of Indian scenario, and they say that, okay, so there are 34 cases. Of course, 34 cases, we do agree that 34 cases are there, but amongst how many number of cases that have consumed it? Lakhs of crores of people, right? So lakhs of crores of people, okay, so who consumed it, and there are 34 cases. What is the significance? So it may be, okay, so it is just because of Tinospora cardifolia, so where that proof is. Okay, so it may be because of so many other, right, factors. Okay, so that's a different part, but the thing is, concern is concern. We have to accept it. That, okay, right, so there is something is manifested. Why? Okay, so whether it is because of traditional system of medicine or whether it is because of some other reason, that's a different thing. But when it is published on a credible platform, right? Credible platform, people definitely will be attracted. Scientific community definitely, right? So they will ask before, right, launching any product into the market, before saying anything. Okay, so they will ask, okay, so ashwagandha se kaisa hota hai kya? So right, so all the herbal supplements or all the herbal formulations, they will come under that radar, right? So people, they start to think that, abhi, okay, right, so 2 days back, okay, so they said that Sorelia cardifolia, Bakuchi, right? So Bakuchi also, right, so it leads to hepatotoxicity, right? If there is any conspiracy behind that, okay, so that's a different thing. But if it are, besides, okay, so before thinking that conspiracy, we have to be strong enough to say that yes, our document says that there is no such kind of instance, right? So we are also using Tinospora, we are also using Vidhania, so we are also using that Sorelia. But as on date, we don't have any such sort of adverse drug reactions, adverse side effects that have been reported into the system. So where is the document, right? So that document is very much essential. So that is what, okay, so we need it. That's what even the WHO says. That yes, okay, so traditional systems of medicines, okay, so they say that we have a legacy of thousands of years, right? At each and every platform, we used to claim that we have thousands of years of legacy, right? So that won't stand in front of the scientific community. It won't stand it. It's not enough to say that yes, okay, so if at all you have that legacy, it doesn't mean that it's safe. If you have that legacy, it doesn't mean that, okay, so it is toxic free. There is no toxicity. It's not like that, right? So you need to have that scientific, because, okay, so we are living in the 20th century. Fine. So the period of Charaka is something different. The period of Sushruta is something different. The period of, okay, so all those 1,000 years back, the scenario was different, right? So Tatra Prayuktanam, right? So it has been mentioned that, okay, so you are living in 21st century, so just stick on to that parameters, okay, so which are existing, which have been approved, which are legalized, right? I cannot depend upon the parameters which are there in 1,000 years back. Okay, so this is what this is. We do agree that, okay, so system is there, tradition is there, folklore claim ho sakta hai ya jo bhi, whatever it may be, right? So it is existing, it is useful. That too, okay, WHO says, okay, so even, okay, so I feel, okay, so that slide is missing, okay, right? So what WHO Director General said, what Mansukh Mandaviya ji said, what Kim said, what uh, uh, Kuruvilla, Shama Kuruvilla said, right? What our joint secretary said. Okay, so all those, okay, so comments, okay, so they are there in one slide. So unfortunately, it is missed, it seems. Everybody said that if at all you want scientificity to traditional systems of medicines, there is only one way, that systematic documentation. Until and unless if there is no documentation, so don't say that, okay, so somebody is not, the government is not, the authority is not pushing us. They are not supporting us. Don't say that. Okay, so you have to generate the systematic, okay, so documentation. Until and unless if there is no data, so no one can help you. Okay, so this is what the stern remarks of the authorities. They said that we are there to support you, but come out with the database. Okay, so this is what they said. Okay, so this is what the old document, the 2018 document of WHO, it says that, okay, so it is lacking with the data. We know that Giloy will work. We know that turmeric will work. We know that ashwagandha will work, right? So we know that, okay, so there are many miraculous remedies are there in the systems, but the thing is we need data. Until and unless if there is no database, so it becomes very difficult to convince the scientific community. This is what they said. Okay, so this is what I was referring, right? So all these people, okay, so they say that okay, so we need to generate the database. Until and unless there is no database, it becomes very difficult. Fine. This is a couple of days back. Okay, so they have expressed their opinions, and our honorable Prime Minister also behind the same issue, right? 2014. Okay, so in Delhi, right? So that Pragati Maidan, that event, World Ayurveda Congress, in 6th World Ayurveda Congress, in that concluding, okay, so last day, okay, so he mentioned about this Ayurveda in imparting preventive, promotive, holistic healthcare, right? So there is no doubt about that. But the thing is, okay, so we need to tap that potential. Okay, so this is what he said in 2014, and almost a decade back in 2022 December in Goa, right? So he said that yes, okay, so still, okay, so there is a need to tap this potential, and we need to generate databases regarding the safety, databases regarding the efficacy of, okay, so these formulations. This is what, okay, so he said, which is very much essential, and it's not new, right? So you can see that Article 21 of the World Health Organization's right regulations, if at all you are looking to suppose that Health Assembly, okay, so they say that right, adopt regulations. Okay, so they said that, okay, so regulations are supposed to be adopted to develop safety, purity, and potency of pharmaceutical products. Okay, so this is mentioned in way back in 1950s. The first document of World Health Assembly it is. Before WHO, so it was World Health Assembly, WHA it was. During that time, okay, so this was mentioned in their document, Article 21. And then they said that, of course, okay, right, so pharmaceutical products clear, right, so we need to develop these, okay, so potentials, okay, but who will guide, who will, right, so generate, otherwise who will provide leads, okay, so how, okay, so the safety aspects are supposed to be established. What is the protocol? Then they said that every country needs to develop their own protocols. But I mean in India, so India's protocol is different. USA's protocol is different. Australia, so their regulations are different. Okay, so this is what they said that you develop your own protocols, right? So that, okay, so the population, the okay, population which is existing in that scenario, so may get help out of, okay, so those regulations. Okay, so this is what they say that, okay, so each and every country, okay, so they need to have their own independent system of the regulations that can develop standards in relation to the safety, toxicity, efficacy aspects of these pharmaceutical products. Okay, so this is what it mentioned there. And in that context, okay, so this pharmacovigilance will come, and ultimately pharmacovigilance is nothing but, okay, so it is a kind of science, is a kind of a system, so which speaks something about right, so safety aspects of the drugs, and so it will provide some information to the healthcare professionals regarding the safety aspects of pharmacovigilance. And of course, okay, so this is a brief about, okay, how the pharmacovigilance program it came into the existing system. So let it be, okay, so 2000 to 2007 to 2006. Okay, so I'm not going to focus much upon, you may be knowing about that, how the pharmacovigilance program for in the globe, okay, so it has came into picture. But in 2006, until 2006, there was no exclusive program for pharmacovigilance for traditional systems of medicines in Indian scenario. In 2006, this one program which was organized by Aligarh Muslim University. So that was the first program which was organized, which is there under official documents. So they organized one program, and they have recommended the Ministry of Ayush to establish this specific program. Okay, so otherwise, okay, so they said that okay, so the pharmacovigilance program is supposed to be extended even to the traditional systems of medicine. So, so that was one recommendation they have made. So it was happened in Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College of Aligarh Muslim University in 2006. Parallelly in Mumbai, this Urmila Thatte and Supriya Bhalirao and Renuka Munshi. Okay, so this group also, okay, so they have conducted one program, and they also came up with a similar kind of observation and a similar kind of recommendation to Ministry of Ayush. And then in 2007, the program for traditional systems of medicines for traditional system of medicine. Okay, so it was initiated. It was launched at Gujarat Ayurveda University, right? That was the first instance in 2007. So it was, and then the current Director General of CCRAS. Okay, so he was the coordinator of that program, Ravinarayan Acharya. So he was the program coordinator for that specific program in 2007. Of course, okay, so this program it was functioned for a couple of years, and somehow okay, so it was disappeared after 2011. So 2012 it was disappeared, and then in 2017 again. So with the serious what I can say attempts and approaches of Dr. D.C. Katoch, Dinesh Chandra Katochji. Okay, so he again revived this program, and since 2017, so it is functioning. You can see that snapshot. Okay, so if you see across the country, we have it's a three-tier hierarchy system. It is right. So there is in top level there is a Ministry of Ayush. Under Ministry of Ayush, there is a drug policy section. Drug policy section it has a program management unit which governs this program. And then under this, okay, so there is a National Pharmacovigilance Center of okay, so which is there in which is located at All India Institute of Ayurveda. So we are coordinating it. And under this national center, there are 5 intermediate centers. And all those national institutes, right? So 2 for Ayurveda, one is at Jaipur and one is at Jamnagar. And then one is at Bangalore. So Bangalore system is for Unani system of medicine. And then Chennai for NIS, National Institute of Siddha. And then in Kolkata for homeopathy. So these are the 5 intermediate centers which are coordinating ultimately, supervising ultimately their respective peripheral centers. And as on date, we have 99 peripheral centers which are established across the country. So except one or two, there is no union territory or there is no state which has no pharmacovigilance system. What I mean to say is, in each and every state we have at least one center, if not all the systems of medicine. So at least okay, so it may have a Siddha center or a Unani center or a Ayurveda center, whatever it is. We have at least one center across the country in each and every state and union territory, and 99 pharmacovigilance peripheral centers and 5 intermediate centers and 1 national center. Okay, so this is what the hierarchy that are existing at this moment. And the basic mandate is, okay, so as I said, it is to inculcate the reporting culture. Inculcation, because okay, so this is what I said. Even today, people, consumers, okay, so they feel that whatever the remedy, whatever the formulation which is coming from the green is safe. This is what, okay, so many people they feel that it's Ayurveda, so it is safe. It's Siddha, it is safe. Okay, right? So because it's a natural system of medicine. Okay, so the formulation they are coming from the natural sources. Whatever the natural or whatever the formulation which is made up of a natural resources is safe. Okay, so this is the prevailing misconception. That is what they say. Nothing is safe under the sky, right? So whatever it may be the formulation, if at all it is safe, the level of safety may be in comparison to other systems of medicines may be less, but it may even create inconvenient manifestation if at all not used, if at all it is not used appropriately. So that awareness, okay, so we want to build up. Okay, so this is what the first mandate of this program. That right. So these systems of medicines also, okay, so they are potential to create some sort of inconvenience, though that inconvenience may be mild in nature. It may not be so serious, but there is a possibility. So that's why. So these kind of formulations, they are supposed to be used under the supervision of a qualified certified, authentic, right? Ayush physician. Okay, so this is what the basic objective of this program. Fine. So that is one, inculcating the reporting culture, and all Ayush healthcare professionals, okay, so whenever they feel that some inconvenience is manifested, so it has to be reported. They should know that, okay, so it has to be reported. They should know that where it is supposed to be reported, right? So if at all they are not knowing, you suppose, okay, so what happens? Okay, so where that signal will go? Fine. So those signals will be unnoticed, and ultimately, okay, so these kind of concerns will surface. So if at all we want to address this surface, so these surface concerns, you suppose, then we should be in a position to catch those signals. Until and unless there are no signals, it becomes very difficult to answer anybody, right? So that's what. Okay, so we are working in that specific direction of inculcating the generating awareness and inculcating the reporting culture, and then facilitating the documentation of suspected adverse drug reactions. We are saying that it's a suspected one. It's not that, okay, whatever is observed is adverse drug reaction. It's not like that, right? And then system-wise databases, okay, so are supposed to be generated, and so that, okay, some evidences can be evidences against those suspected areas can be generated, and recommendations can be informed to the ministry, otherwise authorities. Okay, so this is one basic. And second thing is, as I say, misleading advertisements is, okay, so one of the major otherwise, okay, so exclusive objective. Okay, so all the information, so whatever I'm mentioning here, okay, so it is available there on that website. So you can go to that website and you can see it, and you can understand what kind of functioning is being done. So this is the first objective. Otherwise, okay, so inculcation. For inculcation, we need to have repeated, otherwise, okay, frequent awareness programs are supposed to be conducted. And since 2018, as I said that 2017 was the year when this program was revived. In 2017 onwards, 2018, under the leadership of Dr. Katoj ji, so we have done this program, first program, with 50 participants in 2018 February it was. So 2018 onwards, okay, so we are in 2023. You can see, okay, so how many programs we have organized, almost 770 plus programs. So we have organized across the country, sensitizing about 65,000 healthcare professionals. Of course, okay, so these professionals may be of different cohorts. There may be, okay, so staff nurses, there may be, okay, so medical students, there may be doctors, there may be physicians, there may be pharmacists, there may be state licensing authorities. So different cohorts, okay, so we have covered more than 64,000 healthcare professionals we could able to at least sensitize. And then, of course, okay, so we are even planning, of course, we are in touch with national commissions, so that the related part of, okay, so this specific science, okay, so it will go into the curriculum. Until and unless, okay, so right, it's not there in curriculum, we suppose if at all the authority is not enforcing, you suppose it becomes very difficult to implement it. Okay, so the undergraduate, okay, so he has to understand what exactly is this science. Okay, so what is his responsibility? Okay, so if at all he is coming across with any sort of inconvenience, suppose let it be adverse reaction or let it be misleading advertisement, what is my role? He should, okay, so he or she, okay, so they should understand it. Okay, so that's why, okay, so this is also being implemented. So it became a part of the curriculum at this moment. And okay, so these are the leads, okay, so that are being generated as on date. Okay, so 2017 onwards, January 19, okay, so was the first reporting, okay, so which we have started. Since then, okay, so even this is up to May 23, right? So about 1,497 such kind of misleading instances, suspected adverse reactions, okay, so they have been reported. Otherwise, so we have been received it. And majority of, okay, so these suspected adverse reactions, of course, okay, so Naranjo's algorithm we are using. This is, this is developed in association with Indian Pharmaceutical Commission. So, right, so Indian Pharmaceutical Commission and CEDESCO, so these are the active supporting agencies, okay, so under the umbrella of whom, okay, so this program is flourishing. So assessment is also, it is going on, and reporting, okay, so you may not be interested about this, but if someone is interested, if suppose if any healthcare professional, if you want to report, you suppose the website, okay, so it has that format, right? So the reporting format is there, okay, so they can download it, they can fill it, and they can submit it, of course. Okay, so this is in brief about, okay, so how this adverse drug reactions area, okay, so it is being captured. Otherwise, okay, so how the pharmacovigilance program is working in that specific area. And the second objective is, okay, so this is the misleading advertisements. That is okay, so rampant at this moment. Okay, so the scenario is like that. Okay, so until and unless if the manufacturer is not advertising, so we are not in a position to accept it, right? So the scenario is something different. It's very inconvenient situation. Is there? Of course, it is just like advertisement is uh, just like a sword which has two sharp edges. So it may harm, and at the same time, so it may be useful also. That's what I'm saying. So advertisements doesn't mean that everything is misleading. Everything is obviously giving misinformation, right? So advertisements, they can educate you also. You'll see that. Okay, so without saying anything, if at all you are looking into that advertisement, you suppose it gives some message to the community. It gives information to the individual who is looking into that, right? So advertisements can be good, and at times, okay, so if at all it is misleading, so it creates some sort of right, so inconvenience. Okay, so this is what that document says, that lack of mechanisms to control and regulate the traditional medicine advertising claims. They say that, okay, so this document of World Health Organization says that, okay, so the mechanisms are not there. That's why, okay, so that's why, okay, so the claims, okay, so they are increasing. Okay, so they say types of claims used for herbal medicines. Okay, so what kind of claims, okay, so are anticipating in respective scenarios of these 194 member countries. They say that in 2005, okay, so there are only 5% of the misleading, I mean, so those unregulated claims were there. Whereas, okay, so when it come to 2012, of course, a very old document, definitely I can say that almost 10 years back, okay, so scenario it is. So it is 6 times it was grown, right? So unregulated claims, okay, so they have grown to 6% in between 2005 to 2012. Current scenarios, it will come out. Okay, so that area, it was not addressed by Kim. Okay, so on that platform, possibly, okay, so this one definitely will come out. Okay, so in this by this next year. But ultimately, okay, so what I want to say here is, okay, so unregulated claims are many. Okay, so which are existing in that scenario, so which need to be addressed, okay, so appropriately, which need a special focus, special attention by healthcare professionals at multiple platforms. So I'm not going to say anything about, okay, so what are the ideal characters of advertisement, but ultimately you may be knowing, okay, so what do you mean by misleading advertisement? Okay, so what kind of categories are there, right? So how one can say that, okay, so this is misleading. But the thing is, what Gamma portal says, that whatever it may be, the advertisement which misleads the consumer is misleading, whatever it may be, right? So you can see that, of course, it is not related to it's not related to the formulation, it's not related to the right healthcare product, it's not related to the eye system of medicine. But thing is, you can see that, right? So all these things, okay, so the labeling, if you are looking, is suppose, okay, so the labeling is misleading, right? It's not Lays, it's not Gillette, or it's not Fair and Lovely. So they are mimicking to a product which is familiar in that specific scenario. Fine, right? So I may be rushing through, right? So okay, I may be having a session and I may be rushing, and so I have to purchase water. Okay, so I think that it's a Bisleri, but by the name of Bisleri, there are 27 misleading brands. I don't know. Okay, right? So out of a shortage of time, I purchased it, I had it, I consumed it, and leisurely when I saw that it's not Bisleri, so it's something different, right? I have been fooled. Fine. Okay, so such kind of things, okay, so it happens. So it may not be a formulation, it may not be a herbal product, but what should I do in that case? What is my responsibility? So whether I can raise any voice against, okay, so such kind of misleading advertisement or not. So if at all I want to raise, you suppose where I have to go, that I should know at least, right? So there are many such kind of things. Okay, so this is what this is Gamma portal says, that whatever it is, okay, so if at all it is misleading the consumer, it is misleading advertisement, right? So there are many such kind of right. So there are many regulations. Drugs and Cosmetics Act, Drugs and Magic Remedies Act, 1954. If at all you are looking, you suppose, okay, so they categorically said that, okay, so false impression, otherwise false claim, if at all it is misleading in any manner, okay, so it can be considered as the misleading advertisement. Of course, 1954 Act, and then after that in 2020, okay, so this has been passed. Okay, so this bill has been passed, but this is not it's not yet in final phase. It's not. Even there also, it's finalized. No, that's what. Okay. So of course, okay. So they have enlisted 78. Okay, so list here 78 diseases list. But I feel, why 78? Why you are relaxing remaining things? Okay, so whether it means that, okay, so I can put any advertisement on fever if it is not there in 78. Whether I can say that, okay, so this Fine. Okay, so there shouldn't be any, okay, so such kind of enlistment. For any disease, no one can claim anything. Drug is drug. Drug cannot be used over the counter. Drug cannot be, okay, right, consumed. Drug cannot be purchased by the individual without any prescription. Okay, right. So without any prescription, no one should purchase it. So that's why. So even, okay, so in this specific amendment also, we have many concerns that we have raised to the ministries. Okay, so let us see. So what happens? Okay, so before it is passed through the right the concerned authorities, let us see. Right, even, okay, so 1954's Gazette also, if at all you are looking, okay, so that schedule also, if at all you are looking, you suppose, okay, so there are many instances where, okay, so you can see what do you mean by ulcers of the gastrointestinal tract. So various terms, they are vague, right? Okay, gallstones, okay, kidney stones, okay. So as a physician, right? So many people, okay, so you may be having success stories. There may be many instances where gallstones are treated, cured, right? Even instances where diabetes, okay, so it has been controlled. I shouldn't say that I'm curing it, okay, right? So maybe managed, right? The symptoms may be managed, the blood sugar levels may be managed, okay, so in that healthy levels. There may be instances where all the medicines, they have been withdrawn. Okay, so all those success stories, okay, so though I have those success stories, I cannot claim, because, okay, so we are abided to that regulation, right? So when we are living in a society, you suppose we have to we are okay, bounded to, okay, right, follow all those regulations, okay, so which are prevailing in that specific scenario. So there are certain instances, but ultimately, let us see. So what happens? There are many such kind of examples, okay, so which are misleading, right? So fine. I don't know why that, right? What is misleading in that second one? Okay, personality, but okay, yeah. So the objection which was raised is, okay, so he's holding a shoe. He's holding a shoe, right? So they said that, okay, so he's a god. God is holding a shoe, right? So there was objection which was raised, and it has been withdrawn again, right? So white is purity. Where I should go then? When white is purity, so where I should go, right? Fine. Okay. So there are many such kind of things. Okay, so fine. So I can become Shah Rukh Khan then, right? They say that, okay, so within 7 days. Okay, so 7 days challenge it is. 7 days challenge it is. Fine. Okay, so for your instance, 7 days is a different thing. It's a very insignificant, very negligible. I am using that product since 20 years. Just imagine, right? Just imagine, right? So 7 days is nothing. Fine, nothing will happen. So just they are fooling us, right? Knowing that it is fooling, so we are using. Fine, many such kind of things. Okay, so this is high blood pressure. Okay, so magic action within 15 days. High blood pressure, quick and permanent cure within short period. So many such kind of objectionable. Of course, it's not new. Okay, 1930s and 40s, if you're looking at US state governments, that Lucky Strike cigarettes. Okay, so they have said that, okay, so if at all you're using those cigarettes, okay, so you can you can prevent that future shadow. You can see that shadow, okay, right? So the individual who is becoming obesity, it indicates that, okay, so cigarettes, okay, so they are controlling that future obesity. Fine. So it was withdrawn after a few years. There are many, right? So this health drink, okay, so they says that, okay, so it has clinically proven, right, in extensive studies. Okay, we don't know how it was proven, right? So these right, so definitely, okay, so many of them, okay, so you may be right, Sandhi Sudha and all those things. Okay, so many of the famous, okay, so individuals, they used to indulge in such kind of advertisements, but again new bill is coming up. Let us see, because, okay, see, so there is the imprisonment is, there was no imprisonment initially, right? So and then the fine is very limited, 10,000 or 15,000 rupees. It is nothing for them, right? Against the income that they are going to get with that specific advertisement, the imprisonment, otherwise the punishment is very less. That's why, okay, so this bill is coming up. Okay, so they said that, okay, so fine up to 50 lakhs and the 5 years imprisonment, then they will think of. बोलने से पहले they will think of कि हमें करेंगे ना करें, so whether it is misleading or not, whether something is right, so they will think of, so let us see, so how whether the situation will change or not, that we'll see it. And see many things, so just rub 5 to 6 drops of this oil, fine. Internal administration is something different. This says that, okay, so that oil, if at all you are rubbing on the, okay, palms and soles, this is that diabetes can be cured. Many such examples, many such kind of examples. Okay, so they are there. COVID times, if at all you are looking, many, okay, right? So this immunobred, many rampant. Okay, so they're very rampant. That Mysore, okay, so Chennai, I feel, okay, so it was Chennai example, that sweet, okay, so which they said that, okay, that internal administration leave that one. Okay, so they says that, okay, so this Zodiac, okay, so they says that if at all you are using my shirt, okay, so 99%, right? Fine. Anti-coronavirus mattress. Fine. And then with what he said, that corona resistant mattress 15,000. Fine. Eat chicken and beat corona. So that's why, okay, so what we were doing, okay, more than 60,000 such kind of misleading advertisements. So we have since August 18. So it was rapid, it was functional since August 18. Since then onwards, okay, so we have reported more than 60,000 such kind of instances to the state licensing authorities. The action is, okay, so needed from your end. Fine. I do agree that, okay, so there are many, because that's what I said initially, whatever we are sending, okay, so we don't know whether we are sending it to the right person or not. We don't know whether it's right, otherwise exactly whether it is a misleading or not, because, okay, so we have to read out those regulations. We have to understand that, okay, so which advertisement is supposed to be sent to, okay, so which state licensing authority. It doesn't mean that if at all I am staying in Haryana, if at all I am in Delhi, okay, so all the misleading advertisements which I am gathering to go should go to the Delhi. It's not like that. Okay, so the manufacturer may be, okay, so he may be located in Karnataka. What Delhi person will do? Okay, so these understandings, okay, so these are the learnings, okay, so which I have learned, okay, so in these couple of years. That's what, okay, so we need even, okay, so you can say that, yes, okay, so see, so we are human beings, okay, so we can do any mistake at any point. It doesn't mean that, okay, so I'm mastering that specific area. If at all we are joining hands, you suppose, then only we can do something good to the society. You can say that, okay, so this is wrong, okay, so do in this way. You can suggest us. Then only we can develop ourselves. Then only the programs will, okay, so strengthen. Otherwise, okay, so nothing will happen. You can drop that, okay, so complaint. You can say you may not take any action. You can drop in that dustbin, but it's not the way of functioning. That's what I feel. You can say that, okay, so these out of these 10, out of these 15 misleading advertisements that have been received by us, okay, so only 2 are related to me, remaining are not related. Okay, so you can say that, okay, so you can send these advertisements to somebody else, okay, so who may be the concerned, that you can do that. Okay, then only, okay, so the program coordinators, they will understand that, okay, so what is their mistake, or even, okay, so if at all they are not sending to Karnataka, okay, so this says that, okay, so in Karnataka also there is a center, why don't they send, they will direct it to Karnataka coordinator. Okay, so that can be, but that's what this is repetition, of course. Okay, so we're trying to analyze so different types of different misleading advertisements, but so it may not be needed. But Ministry of Ayush is also taking actions in this relation. Action in the sense, okay, so at least they are writing to the governing authorities and respective state licensing authorities and ISM directors to consider the reports that are being received from this pharmacovigilance program for raising suitable action against the defaulters. Okay, so this is going on at multiple times. Okay, so they have wrote to principal secretaries of state licensing authorities and the principal secretaries of the health for initiating actions against, okay, so such kind of misleading advertisements. Now, of course, okay, so there are many regulations which are existing in Indian scenario, so there is no doubt about that, but still the scenario is pathetic. And ASCI is one agency, otherwise Advertisement Standard Council of India is one agency, so which is vigilant in this specific direction. they are taking action about various sorts of misleading advertisements. You may be having an experience of this one. I'm not sure about that, but the only thing is you have to send them that basic information, whatever you noticed. So whatever you feel that okay, yes, this is misleading. So you can send them a WhatsApp message. Okay, so you can send. Okay, so they have one exclusive number. The only thing is okay, so they will ask you what do you feel? Okay, so why you are saying that it is misleading? What is the objection you found in that? You can write it down that this is the objection. They will only ask you, of course, your mobile number. Anyhow, it will go to them. They will ask you your mail address, and then they will raise a query. They will make an inquiry, and they will come back to you. They will tell you that okay, so this is the objection is right. So it has the advertisement is withdrawn, or okay, so they have provided this clarification. Just look into that, right? So quick action they will take it. They may take okay, so 1 week or 10 days or 15 days time, but they will take an action.
कंज्यूमर की कंप्लेंट पे वो फाइल कर एक्शन करेंगे.
It doesn't mean that if at all I am saying something, they are not taking action. Okay, so at least okay, so they are initiating the right. So the inquiry. After that inquiry, okay, so if they find that this is misleading, so then they will take action. It doesn't mean that मैंने बोल दिया उन्होंने action ले लिया product को withdraw कर दिया, ऐसा नहीं होगा. They will at least initiate action. If they feel that yes, it's a genuine case and it is misleading, so then okay, so they will. ऐसे बहुत सारे instances हुए हैं, right? So at least with me, okay, so I'm there okay since last 5 years. At least okay, so 8 or 9 products are there which have been withdrawn. At least okay, so I'm happy that okay, so I'm doing something to the society. That okay, so such kind of advertisements are not rampant now. We can see that okay, so 2017 okay, so I used to travel across the country for various instances, for various purposes. Okay, so at each and every corner of the country, okay, so whenever purposefully I used to stay at dhabas and all those things. I would like to okay, so see the newspapers. How many misleading advertisements, particularly the Rajasthan, right? So if we are going towards okay, so Rajasthan, UP government, you suppose, okay, right? So there are many the entire volume of the paper, it will be filled up with misleading advertisements. Just you try to see it now, right? So these advertisements, they have came down. I'm not saying that it is just because of the program of this pharmacovigilance program, right? It's not claiming that okay, so we are doing work, that's why they are coming down. It's not like that. It may be there may be many forces, there may be many factors because of which okay, so these advertisements may be coming down, but still they are there. Still, there are many such kind of misleading advertisements, and there is a huge, way to get right. So, scale. That's what. Okay, so I would like to put in front of you, right? So what our honorable Prime Minister is saying that utsaho balavan arya. So we need to be very enthusiastic. Until and unless if at all we are not enthusiastic, right? If at all I am not vigilant enough, nothing. Okay, so that change cannot be expected in the society. We need to, right? So, natyutsahat parambalam. This is what it said. If at all we don't have that enthusiasm, you suppose, so it is nothing. So our existence cannot be counted. Okay, so this is what he says, right? So be vigilant and please help us in achieving that main objective of okay, so that misleading advertisements. Okay, how we can counter. Of course, so in forthcoming meetings, possible that the government authorities, they may even invite you people, state licensing authorities, for that specific meeting, so which is expected to happen in the next month, to sensitize, to at least to say that okay, so to request you that okay, so these reports are coming to you, so please advise us okay, so what kind of changes are supposed to be done in the working culture of the pharmacovigilance program, and how to implement it. Implementation में क्या difficulties that you are facing, and those difficulties how we need to address it. Okay, so these are there are certain areas okay, so that we need to address. Possible that okay, so there may be a meeting. So information okay, so this is the simple disclaimer, so that I want to put that okay, so whatever the advertisement snapshots okay, so that I was mentioning, so it's not that okay, so to blame otherwise, to to defame them, right? So they are just an examples okay, so which can give a glimpse through okay, so how the society is flourished with such kind of misleading advertisements. Thank you so much for this patient hearing, and I would like to thank the authority for asking me to be here for some time. Thank you so much.
सर मैं इसको कॉपी कर
So please, add this to your notice. So this is the part that can go in these cases, right? That's
knowledge.
But just see, we can make out that.
In the schedule, it has mentioned sexual input.
But
I saw.
like this.
Sexual input. It cannot be like.
Why should we go for example? So why should we refer the management exam? Why should we refer? Don't refer that because this is according to management exam. You are why should we refer? Why should we refer the okay. So I mean during examinations the portal is represented government. So we can refer that because you are receiving the arm which is mentioned as a patent. According to that episode,
पिछली बार का होगा सोच मेरी मैडम रेडी लगती है खुद ही मिसेस कौन लिखती है
मैम के पास होगा मैं पूछ लेती हूँ सर मेरे पास होगा
वो भी पूछ रहे हैं अभी करना है लंच ब्रेक के बाद करना है ऑलरेडी एक खत्म होता है तो एक बज ही जाएगा
these are the responsibilities what we will do. So that's what I urge you that you should know that okay, so this is the practical difficulty. Until and unless we are not going to what is happening, we may pressurize you that you are actually negligent. Right? Okay, so you are also individual, right? So you cannot say here, you cannot say that you are taking action, this is happening, and you are not taking action. So somebody is pressurizing you, how you will do that. So what if you write down again that okay, so this kind of action has been initiated, and this is the responsibility.
अभी ठीक है कॉपी है प्रेजेंटेशन
नहीं उदय के पास होगी उदय से
नहीं तो फिर मैं आ रहा था
सर आपके इसमें एनिमेशंस तो नहीं
This is a one instance. I'm telling you,
One report is enough for us. So right, totally we write to the
वो निखिल सर की प्रेजेंटेशन होगी देवकी मैम कह रही है कि तुमसे ले लूँ मैं
introduction to
वही निखिल सर मेरे पास कह रहे थे देवकी मैम इंट्रोडक्शन टू वाई सर वो पुरानी वाली हाँ पुरानी वाली है ये है इसका सब्जेक्ट है इंट्रोडक्शन टू आयुष फार्माकोपियास स्ट्रक्चर एंड एप्लीकेशंस ये वाली दे दो ब्लैक वाली मेरे पास है एक
आराध्य दे रहा है
हाँ हाँ है कहाँ पे
ठीक है
आयुष पर है उसके लिए एरिया तो उसके लिए क्या प्रोसीजर नंबर फॉर any FIDA number for the consumers or because foreign country में क्या होता है जैसे pharmacovigilance में FIDA number they just comment on the that number and register the list. तो इसमें जो प्रोसीजर होता है वो
registering the case is but registering the case is not even in IPC. Registering is not needed as such. The only thing is, okay, so if I am a physician, if I am a healthcare professional, and if I am coming across with any sort of such kind of suspected diagnosis, so in that case, okay, so my responsibility will be to report. Reporting by finding that what is the blinding test.
हाँ सर एक बार देख लो आप कंफर्म कर दो ये
identity of the he said that it is registered his registration number he actually uses so this is chronology once it comes into the system you suppose then it becomes the responsibility of the coordinator to see and evaluate the criteria. Okay, so whether it is because of the drug or not, that's what I say that the Abraham is saying that these instances of the toxicity, whether it is because of the kilo or something else. Is there any component factor behind? Whether he had already able to remain alcoholic, he is consuming toxic drugs other than this kilo. Maybe so there may be any number of other instances. Maybe they have evaluated who will evaluate. The patient okay, so you have to take a history of patient and the coordinator will evaluate by following the analysis and also they will follow. And then evaluate, they will confirm that yes, okay, so this is because of that specific drugs. Then maybe so there are many challenges when it comes to eye drugs. It's not like single paracetamol. Single exit paracetamol is given and the outcome is given. It's not like that. Because in case of medicine system of medicine, there are huge number of challenges. Single drug positioning, if you are single drug, then so that single drug also contains various chemical moieties. And so which kind of moiety is going to impact whether it will take the technology that we become very difficult. Traditional system of medicines and oncology is a very complex mechanism. It's very simple to explain in case of conventional science, but traditional system of medicine is very difficult. There are many challenges. So those challenging areas which are in focus on it's not many times, but it's very difficult. That someone is I'm diabetic and if I'm already on metformin, for example, and I'm taking this VO or Aldi, whether this Aldi is going to have any impact on the metabolism of metformin.
With that prescription drugs, okay, somebody बोल दिया कि follow, है ना, and he is consuming it for years together. Who is responsible for the intermittent manifestation? If something happens, ultimately the system will be blamed. So these things are happening in this scenario. So we have to address those things. And of course, it's a very long way to go. It's not as simple as.
So what is the
I have no clue about that, sir.
Because wherever we issue notices, they will just
Send the code,
order for stay to a particular state. So that's why I'm asking what is the step? State rule 170 regarding that is very important. Because they are issuing you again. So they have to mention in each and bill. They are not at all mentioned. And you get it up. They keep on some Kerala public sector enforce Delhi को
Delhi.
enforce. So what is the step? It is individual states order or what? Then case of nationalism.
Actually, it is not possible depending upon that.
We are doing our job. This is the practical. You tell me what is the status of your
Depending upon that specific instance. So we can, it's not universal.
आप क्या action ले रहे हैं? What is the status? Because these people we are taking action. There is the rule 170. Because people have included 170. And they're just enforcing each individual state's order. So one takes a comparison. We cannot give.
That's what I say. That okay, so but whatever may be the practical difficulties, just back down to us. जब तक नहीं लिखेंगे तो we cannot
Suggestion
understand.
दे रहे हैं आपको.
Definitely. So आपने जितने भी यहाँ पे बात किया है, definitely you can answer, right? So I put it on paper. So you can write and you may not write it. Because if somebody has to take some initiative.
That's right.
You may write and you may not write it. Definitely I'll write it. Ready to them, then after they come to me, definitely will come. Even if you write it to me, also write the 60 can keep it to me that. So we can save the time. Sending it to PPVC and then
of finances or
yeah. I think you can drop a mail. Can you copy them? Write to PPVC, then mail notice so you can put as it is. Then it will come so that you get with your even put secretary and other parties for organized so that they will be sensitive. If the public such kind of instances are coming, suppose because there will be a lot in future meetings, so somebody says definitely, that's what I'm saying. These becomes agenda items. Definitely, they becomes an agenda item. Should be discussed. Should be discussed. Until and unless if the authority is not discussing those things, then no value for the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing the knowledge of the pharmacovigilance program. When it started, how it started, what are the centers in India, mandate of the program, objective, misleading advertisement, Drug and Magic Remedies Act. With the examples, sir has shared his views. And I thank once again, sir, for coming here. Very short notice. I think I have given 1 week back only we told us, Rajesh sir, to join sir. So thank you sir once again for coming here. I would like to request Dr. Verma sir to participate sir.
फुटबॉल के लिए फेलिसिटेशन का जरूरी नहीं पड़ता.
सर हमने आपको इसके बड़ा बहुत शॉर्ट नोटिस में आए हैं
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Be in touch. So if अगर इनका WhatsApp ग्रुप कुछ है तो मुझे ऐड कर लेना. Thank you so much. ठीक है. अच्छा.
आप लोग को जो भी कुछ क्वेरीज है ना मैं व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में सबको ऐड करती हूँ, सभी लोग को ऐड कर देते हैं जितने भी स्पीकर्स हैं, सो दैट यू कैन सेंड लिंक टू मी और यू वांट टू मेल आईडी में भी दे देती हूँ दैट इज गुड ना, यू कैन डायरेक्टली मेल टू मी यस rather giving to the BTS and all these things, you can directly because he is the head of this pharmacology. So our next speaker is Dr. Nikhil sir. Dr. Nikhil sir is presently working as Scientific Officer Ayurveda at PCIMH Ghaziabad. Sir is an MD in Rasa Shastra Nashiji Kalpana. Sir has 15 years of experience in development of pharmacopoeia standards and formulary specifications for Indian system of medicine, establishing and implementing Ayush drug policy and regulatory mechanism, Ayurvedic drug research involving basic concepts, analytical method development and quality control using sophisticated instruments, planning, execution and reporting of research projects proposals, literature research with technical editing and translation of Ayurvedic classical books. Sir is a contributor to 10 pharmacopoeia publications, author of 13 research articles in reputed journals, contributed to 11 books, monographs. Now I would like to request Sir to deliver his lecture on Introduction to Ayush Pharmacopoeia Structure and Implication. Thank you, sir. I welcome you.
एक बहुत ही एकदम नॉलेज पैक्ड सेशन के बाद में हम बहुत ही रॉ सेशन पर आ रहे हैं, तो इधर ही आ जाओ। Can you handle from this also?
Yeah, you can.
So my topic is about giving you basic information regarding structure and implications of our pharmacopoeias. So, but before starting the formal presentation, I would just like to have some interaction with you, so that with a two-way dialogue we can move ahead towards our things. So, just can anyone tell what can come to a pharmacopoeia? दुनिया में की कौन सी चीज फार्माकोपिया में आ सकती है और कौन सी नहीं आ सकती है, इसके बारे में हमें कुछ आइडिया है? What things can enter to pharmacopoeia and what things cannot enter to pharmacopoeia? Fine. And let's be specific, since we are talking about Ayush. So whatever drugs in our case. So again, as far as ASU is concerned, we have only two definitions of drugs. One is that classical one as per 3A, which comes from books of work schedule, and another one in 3H, whereas that proprietary medicines means different combinations made out of those ingredients of 3A that can come under this 3H. So these only two categories will be there. Why I am highlighting this? Again, out of these, that 3H, which are proprietary medicines, naturally, since they are proprietary, they are intellectual property of somebody XYZ. So they will not come under our purview. So the answer that drugs will come to pharmacopoeia has a star mark on it. Not all the drugs which are under the definition of Drugs and Cosmetics Act, all will not come under our purview. One thing. So the drugs as per 3A, whatever formulations in the classical books and ingredients of them which can be used for 3H, but not as such 3H. Proprietary medicines as such which are as per definition of 3H will not be under purview of pharmacopoeias, but the ingredients used in formulations of 3H will be under purview of pharmacopoeia. That would be the difference. And another thing, since pharmacopoeia, all are aware, everybody is from regulatory background itself, so we are strictly using this pharmacopoeia for implementation of our act. For standards prescribed therein will be part of Drugs and Cosmetics Act itself. So naturally, everything becomes legal whenever we speak of pharmacopoeia. So for purpose of pharmacopoeias as well as for purpose of Drugs and Cosmetics Act, let us strictly stick to our definition given in the Act. So nothing is called herbal medicine. There is no material existing in, at least in Indian scenario. No herbal medicine, no phytomedicine, no ethnomedicine, nothing. These terms can be used in research purviews, in other discussions. As a commoner, you can use them. But when we are speaking from regulatory point of view, you have only either it will be a medicine from allopathy, that is of conventional medicine, or it will be a medicine of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani or homeopathy. इतने अगर छोड़ दो, उसके अलावा हमारे पास कोई मेडिसिन की कैटेगरी नहीं है. And though our drugs come from mainly from herbs, that will also again not mean that everything which is coming from herb will be our medicine. So ये जो कुछ gray areas है, which there are some things now coming in market very popularly, noni, ginseng, and whatsoever, that stevia. So many things are coming to market and with a wrap of our medicine. But beware, there can be food products, there can be anything in the world, but not our medicine. This will not justify that this comes to our medicine because it is from herb. हमारे लिए हमारी definitions clear है. Whatever comes in our schedule, whatever fits in our 3A or 3H, that only can be our medicine, nothing else. So with that clarity, let's move exactly to what our pharmacopoeias and what things we are going to see. Because Pharmacopoeia Commission for Indian Medicine, whenever you are saying, so basically it is made for pharmacopoeia and as well as for giving you the trainings and acting as central drug laboratory. So how pharmacopoeias will be prepared and how we have to interpret the pharmacopoeias. That is the main point for my presentation. Generally, when we speak of quality standards, broadly we can distribute all documents, whatever material we can get about quality standards can be differentiated under these three categories. Either it will be pharmacopoeias, or it will be databases, or it will be some articles like given in research journals or etc. Our focus will be on pharmacopoeias, so that we will be dealing in detail in later slides. Databases, best example, ICMR quality standards. It gives huge information, it is very informative, but the main difference, it doesn't have any regulatory purview. That is just for information. So that it becomes a database, or research journal articles in journals, that will be solitary efforts and publications based on researches of individuals. I need not speak much on that. Everybody is already aware, and definitely they will also not have any regulatory purview. So let's see what pharmacopoeia means. So this is not a standard definition of pharmacopoeia. However, we have tried to collect it for understanding. Pharmacopoeia is a collection of monographs where minimum standards feasible under the given circumstances are drawn up, subject to revision and scrutiny. They are mandatory to ensure safety of a marketed product and to levy penalty for failure to keep beyond the limits prescribed in them. Pharmacopoeia में क्या होगा? Generally, it will be a collection of monographs. What is a monograph? Monograph is entire information. Mono, single, graph, picture. एक खास किसी चीज के बारे में की पूरी पिक्चर जहां पर दी जाएगी उसको हम मोनोग्राफ बोलेंगे. So entire information about a drug, whatever is required. Please mind these words specifically. Minimum standards feasible under given circumstances. मिनिमम फिजिबल जितना है, जितना बहुत जरूरी है उतना ही फार्माकोपिया में दिया जाएगा. Otherwise, there are so many advanced technologies. अगर आप publications में देखने जाएंगे या wherever you are going on some seminars on quality standardization or in any academic discussions, you will hear number of things. There may be different chromatographic methods, mass spectrometric methods, other sophisticated analytical tools, DNA, fingerprinting, blah, 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 blah. But all these we cannot expect under pharmacopoeia because pharmacopoeia is based on minimum standards. जो सबसे minimum से minimum जरूरी है उतनी ही चीजें pharmacopoeia में आती हैं. So we will not go for any elaborate things, but whatever minimum required, that will be compiled here. And since this has to be contemporary with given period, so subject to revision and scrutiny, it will be always changing. एक बार बना दिया और हो गया, ऐसे तो इसमें होगा नहीं. They are mandatory to ensure safety of a marketed product and to levy penalty for failure. Everybody is from regulatory background, so कोई भी लॉ जब बनता है, whenever we are having a law in hand, so it will, whenever you are seeing a law, it has 4 aspects. 1, what should be there. 2, what should not be there. 3, A and B, if not complied, what should be done in that case if there is non-compliance to A and B. And 4th one, who is empowered to act against that non-compliance. I think you people fall under that D category. आपको ये empowerment दी जाती है कि in case if there is any violation of given law, you will be empowered to take action against it. But what should be there and what should not be there, these things will be given in pharmacopoeia. Means as a simple thing, for a common man who meets me somewhere, किसी शादी में जाने के बाद मुझे एक आदमी मिलता है and somebody asks me, what you do? Means when I say I work in Pharmacopoeia Commission, people don't understand. They listen that word pharmacopoeia first time in their life from my mouth. So I simply tell them, you might be knowing the word drug inspector. Yes, everybody knows that there are drug inspectors like police inspectors. So what drug inspector has to find whenever he seizes a drug, that is defined by me. That's all. That's simple, so simple definition for a pharmacopoeia. Guiding document for enforcement. So this will be given in pharmacopoeias. So naturally, whenever we are talking of monographs, I told monograph will give all information regarding each single drug. Then as we discussing, these pharmacopoeias are meant for enforcement. So the enforcing power, whoever is vested in that power, will only promulgate these pharmacopoeias. सरकार को ये सारा चलाना है, so naturally government will establish pharmacopoeias, government will publish them, will use them. So generally all the pharmacopoeias all over the world are either published by themselves by the respective state authorities, or they are endorsed by state authorities. Best example, in Indian case, may it be Indian pharmacopoeia or our Ayush pharmacopoeias, government of India itself publishes them. But in case of USA, US government won't go in preparation of pharmacopoeia. United States Pharmacopoeial Convention is an entirely independent private body, but they have agreement with government that whatever pharmacopoeias published by that USP are recognized by government. So whatever published by USP will be enforceable. May not be published by government itself, but endorsed by government. Likewise, there are these 2 things, either it is directly by government or endorsed by government. But this is having more exceptions than rules itself. So there are many other publications where, because at the same time, as a government, we don't have copyright on the word pharmacopoeia. No law will prohibit you or me or anybody to use the word pharmacopoeia in their publications. So many other attempts are also there in market where the word pharmacopoeia has been used by their publications. Prepared by private individuals or agencies or even by some state governments. Many are there where that word pharmacopoeia is used in the title, but they don't have that regulatory purview. Best example, Indian Herbal Pharmacopoeia, prepared by Regional Research Laboratory Jammu and Indian Drug Manufacturers Association. They prepared one Indian Herbal Pharmacopoeia. The word is there, pharmacopoeia. The government of Kerala, for Ayurveda itself, they have published one book named Pharmacopoeia. It is in Malayalam. The title of book itself is Pharmacopoeia. But it doesn't have a regulatory purview. Not even in Kerala. Forget about other states. So let's see how that word is coined, how that word pharmacopoeia is generated. The basic Greek word is contemporarily spelled in English as Pharmakopoia. The word genesis is like this. The word is pharmakon, which means drug. The suffixes POI mean make and IA means ing. So basically this relates to drug making. And later on, whatever there are some standard conventions, how Greek words are transformed to Latin or English whenever we use in other languages. So which Greek spelling is to be transformed in which manner? There are certain norms. Accordingly, we get that spelling PHARMACOPOEIA, pharmacopoeia. So as we discussed, there are many pharmacopoeias. Some are of regulatory nature, some are of other efforts. So here is just a summary. Enforceable pharmacopoeias in India, they are Indian Pharmacopoeia, Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, Siddha Pharmacopoeia of India, Unani Pharmacopoeia of India, and Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of India. Out of these, every pharmacopoeia is strictly used for respective systems of medicine. Indian Pharmacopoeia will be for modern medicine and Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy for those respective systems. And again, one just point here, though these are enforceable pharmacopoeias, but Indian Pharmacopoeia covers some monographs on herbs also, like ashwagandha, etc. There are some monographs on plant-based drugs. But you cannot get a license based on Indian Pharmacopoeia for those drugs. Because if you want to use such medicine ingredients or usko agar license mein use karna hai, you will go for a license under Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, etc. And whenever you are using that word Ayurveda medicine, automatically Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia will only be implemented. So, though Indian Pharmacopoeia covers some of the drugs, but those are not under that enforceable category. Only modern drugs covered under Indian Pharmacopoeia have enforceable category. Then whatever drugs we are using, we all know as though those materials are drugs for us, but they have many other different uses. Like turmeric, that is equally used by coloring industry for their color pigments. Similarly, for food industry, most of our articles are used as such in food industry also. So same materials will also be under the coverage of other standards like food safety standards, ISI, AGMARK, etc. But applicability of standard will depend upon the intention. If you are using that for a medicine, then that medicine related standards will be applicable. If you are using for other purpose, then whatever your purpose, accordingly relevant standard will be applicable. Then this already I told, Indian Herbal Pharmacopoeia. This was developed by Jammu, but it doesn't have official status, and another by Kerala government also. And there are other some publications where that pharmacopoeia word is used, but let's not go on in that. So at least in case of our Ayush pharmacopoeias, more or less all pharmacopoeias go in a similar fashion. Specifically, if we speak about Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, all come under Indian medicine definition. All are with same or similar principles, similar development, similar function, similar applicability. Everything is parallel for all these. So structure of all these three pharmacopoeias and related formularies is more or less same. Only there will be some changes in case of homeopathy that we will discuss later when we come to that point. So just I am elaborating on Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia and which will be exactly applicable for Siddha and Unani equally. And wherever there will be differences for homeopathy, we will be giving explanation on that particular point. So, how that pharmacopoeia will come in picture exactly? So, firstly, we will target on first schedule of books. First schedule of Drugs and Cosmetics Act, where we have got a list of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani books. उन books में जो भी formulations दिए हुए हैं, experts sitting with Pharmacopoeia Commission or its precursor bodies whatsoever, because Pharmacopoeia Commission came into picture since 2014 only, and all this exercise is going on since 1962. Initially, Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee was established. So from that day, we are in this exercise. So whatever expert committees, they would first shortlist some formulations from these scheduled books. इन बुक्स में से इनको उठाने के बाद में उसको लेकर एक फॉर्मुलरी बनाई जाएगी. So though we speak of pharmacopoeias more frequently, but if we go to creation, the first level will be formulary. Pharmacopoeia comes into picture as a second stage. So firstly, whatever identified formulations will come in formulary. Then at second stage, it will come to pharmacopoeia. When it comes to pharmacopoeia, again, now there will be two routes. Here we come at a Y point. So pharmacopoeias are in two series. One is part 1 series, another is part 2 series. So when we come to part 1, there will be single drugs, and part 2 will contain formulations. That is the main difference. We saw that from books of first schedule, formulations will be segregated for formulary. Those formulations, if we want to establish standards, they will come as such in part 2 pharmacopoeias, and their single ingredients will come in part 1 pharmacopoeias. So that is the main difference for part 1 and part 2. So as a person from analytical background, if you are a chemist or a botanist or a microbiologist, from analysis point of view, pharmacopoeia will be the main document. But if you are a licensing authority, or if you are seeing from Indian medicine point of perspective, then formulary will be the basic document for you rather than pharmacopoeia. Whatever given in formulary means एक होता है ना किसी भी एक्ट में वगैरह भी जब हम लिखते हैं, there will be a disclaimer. Nothing in this will contradict with other prevalent acts. हम कोई भी नई चीज अगर जब बनाते हैं, किसी भी existing act को वो जो contradict नहीं कर सकता. So similar thing will happen in case of pharmacopoeia. Pharmacopoeia cannot contradict to formulary. If you are finding any contradiction among pharmacopoeia and formulary, please let us know. We will get it corrected. So pharmacopoeia has to blindly follow formulary. So as a licensing and for system related information, formulary will be of more importance than as compared to pharmacopoeia. So as we already stated in earlier slides, this is official compendia for details of the formulations. Whatever formulation selected from first schedule, first they will be taken in formulary. So and everybody among us knows this to come from first the scheduled books. The books are written across not centuries, over millennia, that they have their own style of writing. There are many different interpretations. Even in most of the cases, the languages are not in contemporary use. For Ayurveda, the books written in Sanskrit, that too some coined somewhere 2000 or 3000 years back. Similarly for Siddha, we get formulations from those Tamil literature, but that Tamil is not of a today's contemporary Tamil. Even a fluent Tamil speaking person of today may not interpret those books if given in their hand. Similar will happen in case of Ayurveda also. Similarly for Unani. So to come across that barrier and to cover those gray areas and to clarify, we will decipher each and every formulation in a standard format. So whenever that formulation comes in formulary, we will be giving that composition of that drugs, whatever included in it, then general methods of preparation, then whatever therapeutic indications, contraindications, dosage, etc. details, these will be given in that formulary. This will serve as the basic document. because again there are so many books, and if you see for formulations, there will be so many formulations with similar names across different books. So when we come to formulary, we are also standardizing that. So we will select some typical reference, Arogyavardhini from Rasaratna Samuchay, so and so Adhyay, so and so Adhikar. With that too, again, there are many different versions. We call it as Pathveda. So the same book may be published by two different publications, and you will get minor differences in two different versions of that book. Both are legally valid. And with that minor variations, even there may be change in ingredients itself. As per one version, there will be drugs XYZ are to be used, and as per other version, XYW is to be used. That Z will be replaced by something else. So that may also happen. So all these things we address in formulary, and specific formulations are given. So in classical literature, even many synonyms are used. Simplest our medicine, Amlaki. But you will find that words Amlaki, Dhatre, Vayastha, different names will be used in different formulations. So in those references, so here also I have given one example. This is word Shakrashana. Literally, if you go, you cannot understand anything. Shakra is the word for God Indra. Ashana is eating. So food for Indra. You will not get any sense. But this word Shakrashan is used as a synonym for the drug cannabis. Bhang के लिए synonym में this Shakrashan word use होता है. Again, this not only this Shakrashan, Vijaya, Bhanga, there will be so many names. So we firstly define one specific name. We call it as a besto name. So in case of this cannabis, Bhang के लिए we have used that word Vijaya. Vijaya will be taken as official name in all references. So if that reference, taken reference mentions the word Shakrashan, we will take it as interpretation that whenever this word Shakrashan is used in the formulation, we will interpret it as Vijaya. That is cannabis sativa. Part whatever to be used, leaf is used, that will also be mentioned in the formulary. This Vijaya being a drug of poison group, we will need its purification. So Vijaya Shuddha we will specifically mention, so that its Shodhan also becomes necessary for its use. All these things will be given in one line. And again, at last, whatever proportion and form to be used for this, that will also be mentioned. Simple thing, labeling act सबको पता है. Labeling provisions में जो चीजें जरूरी है, वो सारी information formulary में दी जाती है. Now, here such many technical terms will come. This, we just simply mentioned Vijaya Shuddha. So Shodhan is simply mentioned. But then how to perform that Shodhan? This being legal book, we are trying to compile all the required information in one book. So while preparing a formulary or pharmacopoeia, our intention as a person writing it is that you should not need at any point of time to refer to other book for any clarification. Whatever information you are needing, that should be available in the same book. So when you are using that word Shodhan, that interpretation, that how that Shodhan is to be performed will be given in appendix. So all such supporting information will be there in appendix form. So that the last point, appendix will specify the Shodhan procedure, and there will be a separate pharmacopoeial monograph on single drug in part 1 series, whatever we saw. There we will already having all the pharmacopoeial specifications, that when you just say Vijaya, you have to use dried mature leaf of cannabis sativa as per the parameters given in pharmacopoeia. So that is the correlation between formulary and pharmacopoeia. Stages of preparation and dose like information, that is also given, and in appendix whatever technical terminologies are used, simply we will be giving dose 20 ml of Swaras, but what we mean by that word Swaras, that will be also given in its appendix. Again, metric equivalents, we are using our traditional measuring systems in our books. So their interpretations, tola word तो सबको पता होगा, लेकिन whenever we use that word, like 1 karsha, So that Karsha has to be interpreted in 12 grams. That will be given in this appendix. And apart from all these things, one major thing, if we are permitting any substitute for a given drug, because whenever we are mentioning to use a drug, there may be a number of hurdles in using it. You might have restrictions due to Biodiversity Act. That may be an endangered species, or simply you may not get it in market, or there may be any other issues. Like simple example, Ashtavarga. Everybody may be knowing, whoever is from Ayurveda background. For almost 1000 years, we don't get those drugs. Even in our literature also, written 1000 years back, it is mentioned by those authors that these drugs are not available and you may use these substitutes in place of those. So all such substitutes wherever to be used, those are mentioned in this appendix for this formulary. So that was about basics of formulary, and now let's move to pharmacopoeia. This entire red one is a part 1 series, and this with yellow box is a part 2 series. Just picture this presentation for your visual identification of 2 parts. Now in pharmacopoeia, in formulary you will not get exact quality parameters. There only basic information and formulation composition will be given, and therapeutic information. But when we come to pharmacopoeia, everything related to quality assurance will be given. So precisely there will be standards for identity, purity and strength. If that drug is of botanical origin, definitely then botanical identification will be given. Then different physicochemical parameters already during different other our parallel sessions. You have been aware of various physicochemical parameters and assays techniques. Chemistry people will be better explaining you on these issues, and you are much aware of these things also. Just we want to recap that these things will be covered in pharmacopoeia. Apart from assays and physicochemical parameters, there will be chromatographic profiles also. Just let's see a broad outline of a plant-based monograph, single drug article, whatever it is in part 1 series. So there will be a title of monograph that will, in earlier days, we were giving just title means that name of drug, simply like Vasa. But now we have also made an improvement. In the title itself, we are adding the specific part also. Because in earlier, there was a conflict. In case of Vasa, say for the given example, we may be using root of Adathoda vasica also and leaf also. But both the monographs were given in the name of Vasa. So to come out of that confusion, now we have improved ourselves. Now we give the monograph title itself as either Vasa Patra, Vasa Mool. So the title itself will clear you that to what that indicates. Then in the first paragraph itself in the monograph, we will get a definition. Definition, let's go with the same example, Vasa. The first line itself will tell you Vasa Mool means dried mature root of Adathoda vasica. That will be given with a small correction. Generally, we go with latest names. So if you go for a recent monograph, you will not find this name Adathoda vasica, because that is now abandoned by that botany community with their system of nomenclature. Now the latest name is Justicia Adathoda. You will find earlier synonyms, and but in pharmacopoeia we will mentioning those earlier synonyms also. But latest names are always preferred to avoid confusions and to be in line with the day-to-day practices going in the field of botany. So that definition will give that source plant name, whatever part to be used, its condition, whether it is dry, fresh, mature, immature. In some cases, like for bilva, we will be mentioning unripe fruit. In some cases, we will be mentioning partially ripened. Like that, whatever conditions, ripe, unripe, dry, wet, all such conditions will also be mentioned in definition. Then we will go for some classical synonyms, then names in other languages, etc. Now here, just again, let's focus on one more thing. Though we call this pharmacopoeia as a regulatory document, but that doesn't mean that from line 1 to line 100, everything is of regulatory nature. in a given pharmacopoeial monograph, you will find mixture of information which have regulatory purview and which even do not have regulatory purview. Like for same monograph of Vasa, there might be written that its Tamil name is Adathodai, but that doesn't mean that that same name has to be used. Regional names don't have any regulatory purview, or classical synonyms, etc. mentioned. This is just for information, for so to understand whatever drug you are reading about. So these some information. Whenever I am discussing one by one parameters, I will also go on narrating that which parameter has regulatory purview and which doesn't have. So the definition will have regulatory purview, but classical names and regional or other names will don't have any regulatory purview. Then we will come to pharmacognostic features. So macroscopy, microscopy, and powder. These three type categories features will be given in monograph. And means I'm not a person of botany. Botanists have already might be elaborating you on the parameters, how to see them. But still, just while taking overall idea of pharmacopoeia, I will insist you to focus on pharmacognosy. Whenever we are seeing compliance of a drug for quality standards, unfortunately, pharmacognosy always remains as the underrated part. Chemistry थोड़ा colorful होता है, attractive होता है. Even all botanists will be interested more in chemistry than botany. Forget about chemists. Even botanists will also be more interested in chemistry. कहीं पर भी एक किसी monograph पर भी discussion हो रहा है. If you go to any platform, if you see any discussion on quality standards, everybody will be speaking on chemistry only. But unfortunately, in our case, except for some marker-related specific techniques, our 90% of chemistry related parameters are of non-specific nature. By ascertaining that limit for total ash value or water soluble extractive or say chromatographic profile, whatever chemistry related parameters given in monograph, you cannot say by 100% guarantee yes, this material, whatever powder in my hand is Adathoda vasica only. You cannot. You can say it is safe, it doesn't have adulterations, it is complying to parameters. Means सीधी हिंदी में बोलो तो गोल गोल बातें. You can beat around the bush, but you cannot be specific whenever we are speaking about chemistry parameters. All our chemistry related parameters are non-specific. But when we come to pharmacognosy related parameters, these are all specific to the given species itself. By these parameters, we can definitely ascertain with a complete assurance that this is so and so drug or this is not so and so drug. In both ways, whether it is positive or negative, your inferences, your conclusions will be concrete. So please mind that these are very important features. And so in every case, I have worked as a drug inspector, inspector for issuing licenses also, along with my colleagues are sitting here with whom I have worked for state laboratories issuing licenses also. But there also, if we see, everybody will be ready with everything related to chemistry. But for even pharmacognosy, you may not find a person also. So please don't underestimate this cognosy for the reasons whatever I am telling. And the last point just I forgot to describe, diagrams. So whatever powder features, because pharmacognostic features are very tedious to understand, we are also giving schematic diagrams for these features. Specifically, we are giving schematic diagrams because this being a natural material, there may be slight variations, but subject to that clarity and interpretations of that analyst, we can match them. So, अगर इसमें कोई spindle shaped fibers दिखने हैं, how that will look, or कोई prismatic crystals दिखने हैं, how that will look. You will get pictorial presentation in the monograph that may not be present in our earlier versions, but in latest volumes we are adding them. So based on those diagrams, you can identify those features. Maybe single drug or maybe formulation, and based on that, you can ascertain whether that material is complying to the quality or not. Next, physicochemical parameters. So I'm just listing them out. Foreign matter, loss on drying, total ash values, acid insoluble ash, alcohol soluble extractives, water soluble extractive. These are mainly used, and in some cases other extracts, volatile oil or pH, etc. Some other parameters will be there depending upon nature of the drug. I will not go on details of chemistry behind them. That will be enough discussed in other lectures. I will just take your attention to the point that in these cases there are two types to give these parameters. It will be either in form of a range or it will be either in form of a limit. Say in case of foreign matter, we will say not more than 2%. So not more than is a limit. So from 0 to 2 will be the permissible limit, and beyond 2 it will be non-permissible. Similarly, for ash values, extractive values, there also for ash values again this will be similar with not more than limit. In case of extractives, may it be alcohol soluble or water soluble, it will be in the form of limit not less than. So minimum value will be given. Anything more than that will be permissible, and not given here. But in some other cases, like say if it is a refractive index or a pH, in those cases we will neither give range, so we will not give neither as not less than, not as not more than. We will give a specific range. Say pH from 5 to 6 or refractive index from 1.04 to whatever 1.1, like that. So both minimum and maximum ranges will limits will be given in some cases. Then we will call it as range, and only one side end will be given. Then we will call it as limit. So please be cautious when judging your samples based on these parameters. And mathematical rounding up is taken to be granted. Though not mentioned in a pharmacopoeia, you will not get a, say for total ash value. If we say that total ash has to be not more than 2% for a given material, and if you get it 2.02%, please treat them as 2%. कुछ cases हमारे पास रेफर होकर ऐसे आते हैं. In that case, whether even state governments are also referring those samples. That for such minor error also they might be giving this. Dr. Pawar speak on this issue much if you require. You can contact him also for any queries. But I just wanted to give that you can come to mathematical rounding and decide the compliance accordingly. Then these were the things which we are using since years back. But with latest advancements in our analytical tools as well as the concerns overall around the world, these last things we have made mandatory: heavy metals, microbial contamination, pesticide residues, and one more thing, aflatoxins. I think it is missing in that baseband. So these four things are also now made mandatory for all monographs. These may not be mentioned in our earlier monographs, but you have again to take it granted that for a drug coming in your hand as on date, such parameters will be necessary for each drug, irrespective whether it is mentioned in its pharmacopoeial monograph or not. For today, these parameters are mandatory for all drugs. Only there is a very short exemption for heavy metals. Mercury, lead, cadmium, and arsenic. Out of these four, I don't think cadmium is anywhere used as a medicinal ingredient by us. To the best of my knowledge, nowhere in Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, anywhere we are not using cadmium. But mercury, lead, and arsenic, all three are used as our drugs itself. Simple example, there are too many. Tribonkir ke Arogyavardhini, we will be using mercury itself there. So when mercury is part of our ingredients, naturally limits for heavy metals, for mercury, you cannot apply them. So these materials limits were basically meant for herbal drugs as per WHO. We have implemented them for all, but since mercury, lead, and arsenic are used as our standard additions, there will be this will be as the part of formulation itself. So if a formulation contains mercury, then that limit for mercury will be exempted in that case. नाग भस्म के लिए जो है नाग का लेड का लिमिट लगाने का कोई मतलब नहीं बनता. If that is having that specific material, arsenic is there, then limit for arsenic will be exempted. But that specific one, whatever is coming as ingredient, will be exempted. Otherwise, rest of all will be mandatory, and there is no question for other three like microbial contamination, pesticide residue, and aflatoxins. Those are mandatory irrespective of any condition. Whether it is a single drug, again there is a confusion created by industry people that this is not our drug, this is a raw material. At least for ASU drugs, I am clear, there is no raw drug. Whatever in our hand, amla, as such amla bhij, that is a medicine for us. So all parameters, whatever required, have to be complied for the given material also. That is not the case that this is a raw material and we will test that given test or analytical methods only for finished products. That may be applicable in some cases for modern medicine, but in our case, even our single ingredients are also acting as drugs. So whenever you are using it as a drug, it has to comply. So don't call them raw materials. Then it comes to assay. In some of our latest volumes, there are some HPTLC, HPLC assays are used, and even quantitative estimations based on markers, or in some cases not the specific markers, based on some functional groups are also given. And even for some monographs, phytochemical reference standards with the limits have also been mentioned. Then now up to this, from physicochemical parameters, pharmacognosy, physicochemical, these assays, and if given as reference standards, up to this much is regulatory information. And now onwards, again the last point, dose, properties, actions, important formulations, etc. These will not have a regulatory purview. This is just for information. Similarly, if we go for a formulation monograph, I will not spend much time on it because more or less it is same. Only thing will be formulation composition and method of preparation will be added here. Those will be based on the specification given in formulary. And again here formulation composition has regulatory purview, but method of preparation, though it is given in pharmacopoeia, it doesn't have regulatory purview. You will get a step-by-step information for preparing a formulation in Pharmacopoeia Part 2 series, but that is not mandatory to follow as such. Manufacturer has her own liberty to get deviated from that method of preparation, provided their end results are not varied. Again, whatever next parameters will be coming, regulatory parameters. If those parameters are complied, then they can have deviation in methods, method of preparation. So that method is just indicative and not of regulatory, but again that description, microscopy or chromatographic profile, whatever given, those will have regulatory purview. In case of formulations, we are taking one limit, that powder microscopy is mentioned only the number of ingredients is less than or equal to 10, and that too when they are added as such. If the number of herbal ingredients is more than 10, then we are not going for powder microscopy, because there will be too many powder features and many of them will be overlapping with each other. So that practically makes impossible for a pharmacognosy person to differentiate from that huge crowd. So we are limiting up to 10 ingredients, and that too when they are added as such. If we have boiled them, then obviously their cellular inclusions will be lost. That structure will be entirely changed. So we will not go for such things when they are used in some other processed forms. Only when as such they are used, then only this powder microscopy is done. Then chromatography is done. Nothing to tell specifically on that. Physicochemical parameters, that is more or less same for single drugs and formulations. Assays, these are also same. Other requirements also same. For heavy metals, I already discussed. Now, apart from monographs, whatever other things are given in pharmacopoeias, and which is equally important, that just let's have a look. There are some general notices. Whenever you open a book of pharmacopoeia, firstly you will come across notices, then only monographs will start. Please don't read monographs directly, because those are to be interpreted in the reference to these notices itself. This is a legal book, so whatever specifications mentioned in that notices, Those have to be followed. First go through notices, then only you have to read for monographs. What these notices will give? They will give permissible deviations from classical composition. अगर कोई छूट ले सकता है तो क्या क्या छूट ले सकता है वो उसमें बताया होगा. Official substitutes will be given. If there is some deletion like Kasturi, even if it is mentioned in formulation, we may be skipping it because practically it is not available. You cannot use it. So Mrugashvankar, that will also be not used in that formulation. So these notices will give permission for such deletions, that even if that ingredient, even Dashmola Rishta needs to have Kasturi, but even if today if you prepare Dashmola Rishta without using Kasturi, that will not be called as a violation. That is a permitted deletion. Such things will be given in these notices. And then apart from these notices given prior to monographs, after monographs there will be appendices. Similarly, whatever we discussed in case of formulary, the same thing applies here. So those appendices will give detailed classical references, testing apparatus. Simply, we will here mention that you have to measure volatile oil content. But what apparatus is to be used for that volatile oil content? What process is to be followed? All these things will be given in these appendices. Even simply for the acid insoluble ash, we will be mentioning the treat with concentrated hydrochloric acid. But by the word HCl, what do you mean? Which hydrochloric acid is to be used? What will be its molarity? What will be its specific gravity? What will be its exact purity? Those all things will be given in appendices, and that is also having equal regulatory importance. That is not the case that only monograph related parameters are to be applied. Whatever specifications given for these chemical entities also in appendices, they also have that same regulatory purview. And whenever you are using or verifying any material, this also needs to be checked. Same information for pharmacognosy related things, microbiology related things also will be there, from media preparation, everything. Here also again one small things comes. In case of quantitative estimations of assays, like for heavy metals, there you may get that you have to measure that elemental concentration of a metal. In that case, you can use any other methods given than pharmacopoeia also. For physicochemical parameters, like for ash value, you cannot deviate from the method given in pharmacopoeia. You have to follow the same method given in appendix. But for quantitative estimations, you can go for other methods also. That there it is not mandatory to follow pharmacopoeia, provided your results have to be there. You cannot say that instead of using atomic absorption spectrophotometer, I used so and so instrument and hence my results are varying. No. The result has to comply with the given limit, but method of analysis can be changed. Stability tests are also given. Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, Part 1, Volume 8 and 9. Here we will find these protocols. And though mentioned only in API, they are applicable for all Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. Everybody must be knowing of it. And since it is already mandatory for each and every drug, I have just mentioned here. But since we are running out of time, I will just skip details of the stability. I had taken these points for slides that to accelerated studies, real-time studies, conditions to be used in these studies. But to match up the time, I will just go ahead. Significant change. Here is one gray area. In stability protocols, there are things mentioned as there should not be any significant change, and there are permissible limits given for to define the significant change. That in for a given parameter, for physicochemical parameters, this much percent deviation is permitted. For assays, this much percent deviation is permitted, like that. So whenever you are checking compliance of a material, whether it complies to the pharmacopoeia or not, these deviations permitted in this category of significant change in that stability protocol may also be taken into consideration, because strictly going by the values given in pharmacopoeia, and if you are disqualifying a material and if challenged in court, that another party may have an upper hand in arguments based on these things. So specifically from legal conflict point of view, please mind these deviations given for significant change in that stability protocols. Generally, if you go for other all pharmacopoeias over all the world, there will be pharmacopoeias will strictly stick themselves to quality standards. You will not get any other information in any pharmacopoeias. But in case of Indian systems of medicine, we have one specificity. In our case, our drug, as if I give you an example from Ayurveda, we have its taste itself, that rasa, and we believe that our pharmacology works based on its taste itself. So for us, that pharmacological information is also an equal concern. Apart from that quality parameters, that yes, based on these attributes, this drug works, and that gives us that intended therapeutic efficacy. So we are mentioning that therapeutic information also in our monographs, though it may not be there anywhere in the world. These are just some examples how we have mentioned HPLC related chromatograms. बर्बेरिन क्लोराइड का एस्टिमेशन का एक यहाँ पर जो है क्वांटिटेटिव एनालिसिस दिया हुआ है. Then how powder features are elaborated. This is one illustration, and this is illustration for fingerprint profile. This has also to be matched grossly. There may be slight variations which can be ignored for RFLUs of spots and nature of spot, or even that darkness or width of spot also. Only gross matching is expected. So this became about pharmacopoeias and formularies, our two regulatory documents. Apart from those, there are some other publications in the series of Atlas, where for TLC as well as for macromicroscopy, we have published some documents. These don't have any regulatory purview. They are simply for help for an analyst. But still the information is very much useful and gives you an additional clarity about how to read pharmacopoeia, how to verify pharmacopoeial parameters. So this is our Atlas on TLC, and this one is on macromicroscopy. Such details will be given in a macromicroscopic atlas, that all pictorial presentations, microscopic sections, and schematic diagrams, everything is given. And in case of chromatographic atlas, also detailed methods of how that sample preparation is done, how extraction is done, how that phases are prepared. Everything is given in much detail as compared to pharmacopoeia. As we already discussed, it is same case parallelly for Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani. So as there are for Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India and Ayurvedic Formulary, similarly for Siddha there is Siddha Pharmacopoeia of India and Siddha Formulary of India. There is just a slight change in nomenclature in case of Unani. It is Unani Pharmacopoeia of India UPI and National Formulary for Unani Medicine NFUM. And in case of homeopathy, the system of homeopathy itself doesn't principally believe in formulations. They go by their tinctures and dilution based drugs. So they don't have a concept of formulations as such. So there is no formulary and there are no part 2 pharmacopoeias also. So only we simply go with a one series of pharmacopoeia HPI. This is just statistical information of whatever standards we have published till date. I think we are already sharing the slides with participants. So you can go through the statistical information even at a later stage also. I will not go in details. Just color whatever visual differentiation we are making for our different pharmacopoeias. One specific thing, apart from these routine pharmacopoeias and formularies, we had made ourselves an exception in case of COVID-19 outbreak. So that is separately available there. One Ayush Quath was propagated by Minister of Ayush. Everybody might be aware of it. So based on that, we had prepared formulary specification and pharmacopoeial standard for the same material. So in each case, for Ayurveda, Ayush Kwata Churnam, in case of Siddha, Ayush Kudinir Churnam, and in case of Unani, Ayush Sapufi Joshanda. For all three systems, we had prepared formulary specifications and pharmacopoeia standards also, and they were published as solitary standalone standards. उस बुक में और कुछ भी नहीं है, सिर्फ आयुष क्वाथ का ही pharmacopoeia standard है. So single that is entity covered in that publication. ये उनके फॉर्म ये just कुछ pictures है. And apart from all these, whatever we were talking about pharmacopoeias of our 4 systems, recently we are in this new initiative where we are going for one herb, one standard. So at least for herbal origin drugs, we are going for standard common for all, irrespective of system of medicine. So very soon you will be seeing outcome of this initiative coming to public. And through these monographs, these will be applicable irrespective of system of medicine. So may it be for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani or homeopathy, or even to the latest entry, Savarika also. All systems of medicine will have that same monograph, since that whatever chemistry or botany related information, whatever standard parameters will be same. The ash value of ashwagandha need not be changed whether you are using it for Ayurveda or for Siddha. So to avoid any such potential conflicts of history, we are now coming with this OHOS, we call it in acronym, one herb, one standard. So very soon all such merged monographs will be there, and you will see this OHOS, and that will be implemented with necessary regulatory changes. That's from all from my side, and open for your queries if anything. Thank you.
Feeling hungry.
Yes.
So any query regarding this pharmacopoeias?
Even you can interact at later stage also.
One has explained very nicely about the pharmacopoeias, how many types of pharmacopoeias are there, and what means are there, and about the regulatory aspect and non-regulatory aspect also, about the monograph format, single drug and formulation also. So if you have any query, you can ask, or you can afterwards also you can discuss. I think everybody is feeling happy. So no.
Sir, why you made exemption to classicals for stability? Nowadays you have made mandatory for PNP.
Yes.
Why you excluded classical?
Classical is not excluded, sorry. We have already specified limits for classical drugs.
That is there.
That is there. And if you are, you means a manufacturer is claiming that stability of their drug within that limit, then we don't ask them for different data. Exemption is only to that level that for a given dosage form, whatever we have prescribed the limit, if the manufacturer claims that his stability or that shelf life is within that limit, then separate data will not be required. Say if it is given as 5 years, and if the manufacturer claims for 4 or 5 years, then there will be no need. But if he is even going for 5 years, 1 month, for that additional 1 month, he will have to submit all the data.
Even though it is a classical.
Even though it is a classical. If it goes beyond the limit, then it will be mandatory. If it is within limit, then there is no requirement for separate data. But in case of proprietary, whether there are no standard limits. So the standard limit is 0 itself, you can say. So whatever claim, that has to be substantiated with that.
And we want all the information recent.
As such,
wherever we are coming from our father, so this is the right place so that we get all the information.
yes, sure.
उस पे ट्रेन में डाल दीजिए वरना तुमको जगह दीजिए.
As far as our pharmacopoeias related amendments, if we are speaking about, there may be so many other amendments in Drug and Cosmetics Act, not Act specifically, mainly in rules, but that you can get through gazettes of ministry. So that may not come under our purview. So madam may not be able to give you all the amendments in the rules itself. But simply, as far as our pharmacopoeias and formularies are concerned, our official publications only, whatever series that you can easily find it on our website, that much only is our publication as on date. So might be in modern pharmacopoeias they are releasing separate amendments. We are in process of giving such some amendments. We have found some anomalies. We are going to correct them. But as on date, there are no separate revisions published. So hard copies are not available with us, unfortunately, whatever in case of earlier publications. So whatever physically available, you can get those copies. But just wait for a month or two. Very soon we will be launching our online sale of Agritech. So there even whatever copies which are not available physically, we have kept our specimen copies. We have got them scanned, and the scanned copies will be available in PDF form. So even the whichever is not available physically, you can get them through our online portal, and those printouts will be equally valid. So very soon it will be there in market. Yes, and you can this was for that.